Welcome back, everyone, for Dreamworks Dungeons and Dragons. I am so excited to be back. It's been so long, just over the break. It feels good. This is our Dreamworks Dungeons and Dragons campaign, of course. Super excited. We have, in no particular order, I guess we'll start digitally. We have Becca playing as Gingie, the Gingerbread Man, cleric of the Muffin Man. We have, and perfect timing, we have Tice Olafson, of course, as right now our amazing member Dax, this interesting character who has been led to the party for reasons that his patron has yet to really even reveal, it sounds like. We have, of course, newly minted Adora She-Ra. That was something fun. We'll recap here in a second. As Elle, and of course Megan playing as Valka, also newly minted as Valka. You've kind of finally gotten your mojo back, or grace as most people would call it. And of course we have our amazing best friend Lonnie. We hope she's okay, just helping deal with some car accident stuff. Everyone is okay, thankfully, but she might be able to make it tonight if things happen in time, but she wishes the best, has given blessing to Slightly NPC. I think one of the things she always says is just don't let anything important happen. So we're just going to have a beach episode tonight. But yeah, a bit of a recap. It has been just a wild time. Last we saw you guys traveling from the barbaric archipelagos down towards Machuxa, this traveling city, one could call it, of the core of people who are what we would know as core in D&D terms, but also like Aetherborn, Genasi, very much people of nature in the wilds, who took Minorith in. This is Minorith's like home city. At the core, of course, we have been searching for Valka's grace, as that is an important thing. It sounded like the enemy, and enemy is actually a pretty broad term. There's a lot of people that wanted the grace. But both angels and demons showing up, because you guys very carefully, through Dax's ingenious use of both the sword and the cookie, these things that radiated celestial energy, was able to track. You guys deduced that whoever had this grace was kind of teleporting to very specific places and cities, creating Machuxa now to a place of spiritual revival and upheaval. In the year 1805 was a state of religious upheaval in upper state New York, so says Young Boy's Diary. But that's not that story. That's saved for church. But, of course, in which case you guys were able to help summon Uriel, also known as the Muffin Man. Indeed, the Muffin Man is Uriel's chosen title on the mortal plane. He really enjoys it. And Gingie, you learned from Uriel, he was not avoiding you, thankfully, even though he did ask that very tearful, I almost said apology, forgiveness from you. Uriel is still technically the younger brother of Michael, still a servant of heaven, one could say, and had a lot of restrictions in how he could interact with the world, possibly because Michael understood that he had the grace and other abilities. But fighting off these demons and angels in a very gut-punching, action-filled fight, just in time before the fight, because it was going to keep ramping, Adora hitting the nat 20 in that amazing sense, with Dax and Gingie throwing those guiding bolts and different spells, trying to slow down both the Angel of Temperance and the Angel of Sloth, or the Sin of Sloth. Adora bamfing into She-Ra, the warrior princess, what we know as the Spirit of Eve, this amazing mantle that has been passed down by the first ones. You, in this form, now having power, the spell actually used was a 5th level spell called Summon Celestial. Is actually the mechanics of it is using the material component of grace to summon Celestial in Valka, rebinding her DNA. What Dax kind of knows, again, almost creating Valka's DNA into that radiating celestial energy. Valka actually got a bit of a level boost from that, and you are now a Protector Asmar. As Adora, you have that split-second decision of Avenger or Defender, and it's that, like, I would like my friend to be this Defender. As you all were there, Valka's grace exploded outward in creation and life. This is actually where we jump back into our campaign, is these moments. All of you see the dying light now. The fire pit has just now started coming back in. Thankfully, none of the tents or the core's buildings have been affected. Rather than being destroyed, you will all notice, even in this harsh tundra, this is now a oasis of spring life. There is grass and flowers growing in almost that like blast, like one might think of like a concussive blast outward, but instead of fire and force, it is celestial energies and growth. Of course, in this epicenter right near the fire pit, we see Adora and Valka. And when I say Adora, I do actually technically mean She-Ra. You are now in this form, at least for the next few seconds before it drops.
Let me quickly pull up a character sheet for the next few seconds.
Yeah, pull up that character sheet. To give the fun mechanics, Adora now has a chance to, about once per day, become a level 20 hero known as She-Ra. It is not a permanent effect, though. It lasts for about 1d10 plus 5 rounds when in combat. Out of combat, it can stretch a little bit more. You can kind of like, if you're not in battle or heavy initiative, you can kind of use it a little bit stronger for certain stuff. But overall, Adora, as She-Ra, there is a lot of power coursing through you, and it feels really natural, I think. You're noticing, like, this is not something that, like, there's no ill effect. Like, there's no worry of, like, uh-oh, am I actually in bond with She-Ra? Is this something unnatural? It's as if you have been able to do it all along. You finally overcame that ideological mental block. Dax and Gingie and Minrith, you guys are just about 10 feet back. And of course, standing before you is now a... well, I'll throw it to Megan. What do you think Valka looks like now? Or do you think there has been any physical change?
I think the only thing is because we were just in combat, and so she was throwing up, her shrouds and things. She probably did have those like gross necrotic fallen Azamar wings, and so they're like actual like glowing feathery real wings again. And like they're about to fade away because we're out of combat now, but like that would be probably the only change. And again, we probably got some receding, like the eyes were glowing, like there was a lot of stuff happening, but I think most of it isn't too much of a physical change.
Yes. And indeed, I can't remember if I said this, something I just noticed from my screen. I believe everyone also did level up to level 8. That is something where we are now across the board level 8, which feels really nice.
Hell, are you level 8?
I know we kind of like intermittently, so like for Adora, Gingie, Dax, we are level 8 across the board. Valka is just level 10 because she got a bit more juice right there. But it basically means you're probably not going to be leveling up soon, right? Like that natural using XP and D&D. So yeah, all of you see those last few seconds of Valka's wings are extended behind, and they do shimmer in that almost holographic projection. They are very corporeal until they're not, if that is the language I want to use. And seemingly also, Adora, you are realizing you are naturally coming out of She-Ra form. Again, it is... it would be very deadly to ever try to always keep this form up, like, especially in combat. You feel it kind of fade off as you shrink back down to the appropriate, like, 5'9", 5'10", your clothes, armor all returning. All of you are standing here in the core camp. What would you guys want to do?
Are the angels gone?
All angels are gone, and all demons. So unfortunately, Uriel, the Muffin Man, also seems to have disappeared. But there might be something we can do. Yes.
Okay. So before the angels came and took Uriel away, I slipped Bart into Uriel's pocket.
Yes!
Yo!
Dax, do you want to bamf into Bart's eyes?
Yeah, I want to know what Bart is seeing and hearing.
Here's what I'll ask of you, and now this is going to be...
It's about to break your game.
It's not going to break my game, but it might break Dax's eyes for a little bit. Dax, I do need a quick Constitution saving throw. You are about to witness the extra-dimensional paths that angels and demons can kind of fast travel along.
Fair enough. Okay, con save. Here we go. Ooh. Since 20.
Since 20, you are fine. It was only like a DC 13 right now. You bamf it. All of you watch. Dax's eyes kind of cloud over. Dax, you see, it is truly awe-inspiring and tear-inspiring beauty of stars and galaxies and life and planet all melded into this strange string of time and space as from this pocket in Uriel, you see Uriel is moving fast. I think you would have enough in mind. You're not going to look directly at Uriel, because right now he is in what we would call that very true form of an angel. But as he is going, it's enough to realize, thankfully, he is alone right now. It doesn't look like he has been captured, nor does it look like he is being followed. But whatever Uriel is going in this moment, you're thinking like, okay, thankfully it looks like he's okay. It doesn't look like he's been, like, captured, which that could be huge.
Yeah.
After what seems like both eternity and just a few seconds, you find, boom, Uriel has stopped, and you see before you a winding, small cottage road. Right now, it is very much melting away into spring and summertime. Uriel is looking at a old, abandoned, like, cottage building that almost could be described as a bakery. You see it's got some like old cobwebbed chalkboard signs out front. Things have been boarded up. I think passively you could like assume this could be the Muffin Man's home. This could be Drury Lane he's at, right? And also carrying in that insight, this could be he might be here because he's not being actively hunted. I will let you know, Uriel has a really good passive perception. You watch Bart is being lifted up. You are being put eye to eye with Uriel, who does smile, seeing now this cute little kind of blue spider, and just because you have hearing too, yeah. So you will hear this. Uriel looks at you or Bart and just, I'm doing all right. I'm going to set up shop a little bit. Message if you need me, but you can find me here. I'm going to make this a bit of a haven for myself and others for the time being. And so you know, just outside of far, far away, in between the mountains and the kingdom, there is Drury Lane where you could probably go find Uriel. He's about to turn this cottage into some high protective sanctuaries, wards, hallowed ground, like make this place a really secure bakery, right? I'll even throw you this. He will, so you don't have to recast Bart. He is going to send Bart back to you guys. In that, like, clever. Sent it with me to see if I'm okay, but that assurance of, here's where you can find me. As he kind of breathes Bart back, all of you watch Bart reappear just kind of on Dax's shoulder after a couple of moments. But smart thinking, you now know where Uriel is and where to find him.
I'm going to quickly relay all this information to the party.
Awesome.
Oh.
Right. Okay. Cool. So we should heal and then jump.
I think for now we should, make sure the court are okay, because, they all ran screaming away, so, I want to, do some,
you are immediately cut off
okay,
as Stoic wraps you up in his arms and spins you around, just in that, are you alright?
I'm
On
fine,
a
I'm
Valka,
never
you see Adora walk away as she's having, it's like, you with your husband's like, on it.
Stoic just, you're as beautiful as the day I found you.
Well, the grace might help with that.
No, look at, you're literally glowing. I mean, look at, this isn't, I'm not exaggerating. Look, he kind of, pulls Adora and Dax both with his own hands. No, look at, this is not a husband thing. She's got, and yeah, Valka does have a now kind of permanent halo-ish glow.
Yep.
Mm.
You see Adora try and slink out to go to it.
I'm going to once again go see if these people are okay.
I'm just glad we're all alright and I'm still here.
Stoic seems super excited, just in that, more of a relief way, too, of okay, you're not dead, we're not dead. Yeah, and Adora and probably the party, you can immediately go out, start talking to people.
Can I do one specific thing in terms of like making sure the camp is okay?
Yeah, I was gonna say if there were specific things involved. Yeah, we'll start with Valka. What do you want to try?
I would like to make some sort of check on the fires to determine like how they were able to be like yoinked and used for these like hellmouth things, and if there's a way to like, you know, build some sort of charms into fireplaces in the future to like prevent them from being taken over like that.
I love it. Go ahead, give me. We're gonna call this actually a religion check.
Okay.
If you would like to, again, you can use your wisdom modifier for it. I as a DM feel that wisdom is a much more applicable modifier for religion most times. Just because whenever you're talking more the history of religion, I just use history. So yeah, go ahead and make.
Is this one of the things that I would be able to use my advantage on?
I believe this is something that would apply to some of those advantages.
Excellent. Real quick, DM, how mad would you be if I took Sentinel as a feat?
Not at all. I think it would be hilarious because that means both your characters have Sentinel. But yeah, Adora, if you want to take Sentinel for Adora, I actually think it would be really cool with the Great Sword of just that, like, it's a very classic, like, nah, if we're fighting, you don't get to leave. Protect.
Get back here.
What did you get, Valka?
Well, on a 4 and a 5, that gives me a 7.
Valka goes back to this central fire pit. You run your fingers along the ash. The problem, you think, is it's more of just the fact that it's a strong source of an element. True fire, water, earth, air. Like, it's more of the most direct of the elements, but you've never been into elemental magics. I will say, even now with your grace, a lot of early memories are coming back of your times in the garrisons with the other Valkyrie. It's very much that, like, it's so easy to use strong sources of elements as teleport conduits. It's one of those, like, wizards and mages love teleportation circles because they can kind of craft the runes and sigils they need at any moment. But for a lot of just naturally, innately magical things, if you want to travel, use fire, use water, use earth, right? Like, and I shouldn't even say, like, for innately magical things, there are, what we know in D&D, a lot of classes that use the same thing. Wind walk, there's teleportation spells, there's things. And so when it comes to the, like, could you stop it? Right now you're thinking, well, put out fires, right? It's kind of what Gingie did last time, which, again, Gingie, make sure you have marked down. You definitely have a point of inspiration for that amazing using create water to cut off a lot of that way for the demons to appear. But Valka, you're thinking, like, unless you're just extinguishing the fire, you might need, like, some more in-depth in-field case studies to really get a vibe of how are they exactly doing it. Like, you think it's not something you could just counterspell, but if you put out the fire, it would stop that too. Right? Close the door.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, so Adora you're going around to. For Dax and Gingie, yeah, are there specific things you want to do either in this post-battlefield or around the campgrounds yet?
Because I was thinking Swiftwind, just checking in on him because I know he took some attacks.
Swiftwind, yeah.
Then using Swiftwind to try and sweep around the area to see if I can see any of, remaining fleeing people to tell them to spread the word that it's safe to come back.
Go ahead, give me an investigation check. Dax and Gingie, too, while you're making that.
If Gingie wants to come with me, I can offer too.
Oh,
you want to
yeah.
do something else.
Gingie, because Adora's going to do that, like, aerial with Swiftwind, try to, like, fly around to see if people are okay, using, like, healing magic. Or would you guys rather do stuff that's more on the ground?
Anybody need
Healing. Yeah, I'll do a quick check as a DM. I think right now, Adora, Dax, Minrith's actually still fine. Minrith got some great temp full heals earlier. Valka's now looking full heal thanks to the grace, and Stoic actually took very little damage that fight in the first place, which is crazy being a barbarian, but, like, I kept having Stoic go fight things, and people were like, no, I'm going to go hit someone else. I think right now, Adora is actually definitely injured, but as a paladin, those lay on hands can probably go back to you. Dax, you're still looking a tad roughed up, but nothing major right now.
turn instead of berries, turn them into, like, muffins.
Gotcha.
and just kind of hand a few people a muffin that need just a little boost.
Yeah. So Gingie, you stay more like as core are coming back. A lot of core are rushing back. What was going on? What was that? We saw gods and devils, and like they're just in that reassurance. And so Gingie, you are doing that wonderful like, hey, let's get some warm food, let's get some good drink, kind of that very personal, not only for the party but even just people. Thankfully, again, most core got out of there fast. There was no. Well, thankfully, again, the angels and demons weren't looking for them; they were after you guys. So Gingie, you're more on the ground. Adora, you're taking Sky. We'll go to your role here in a second. But Dax, anything you want to do in this moment?
I would probably be doing something similar to what Valka was, just investigating the different fire pits, making sure they're out, checking for any residual stuff that might be dangerous later.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me a similar. For you, I will say it can be Arcana or Religion. Because there's something that you as an artificer could more gain in that sense. Adora, do you yet have your investigation roll, or is that still doing some loadings?
That's a 7 Arcana.
7.
So that's a synth 20.
Synth 20. So Dax, you kind of like, I'll say, like, you can get a little bit of a sample, like, same thing looking at, because out in the distance, there's like a fire pit that is still going that you saw, like, angels and demons appearing from. You're having very similar feelings with an Arcana check. The fire's not magical, neither is the wood here. It could just be, okay, elemental magics have a stronger connection. Just, again, I would even give you, like with Bart, the pathways that these extraplanar creatures travel are highly magical, highly interconnected in both magic and physics and science and life and death. And so it's that like, this is a spark of something very pure. And so you think like, same way maybe a demon could pop out of the ocean. You think though the big thing is it was the grace that was the beacon. Between the grace and Swiftwind, and how I flavored that, it's you think because you guys still have these amulets, they might physically know your location, but they're not gonna, like, neither angels nor demons are probably gonna have a chance within the next maybe couple days to just like pop out here, because however they track, again, you are very well and hidden signature wise. Which is crazy. I mean, that's still on a 7. Like, it's pretty solid information, but you and Valka, it's hard to really narrow down perfectly right now what you're seeing. Adora on the 20, and the 20 makes sense. Again, Adora, you take off in Sky with Swiftwind, who's looking much better. You give him probably a quick lay on hands. As you fly, you see Swiftwind is elated for. He's like, woo! I thought we were gonna die, Adora. I saw my life flash before my eyes. First I was a normal horse, then I was a Pegasus, then we got transported here, then I was in a cage, and then we were flying, and then we were fighting, but now you're She-Ra again.
Yep.
You see Swiftwind, you see he doesn't mean to say this, but he goes, and this is perfect. Like, now we can go to attorney right now, and we can get everything sorted, and it'll be perfect. After the mission, and you see immediately, like, almost like backpedals with his hips, but he's flying, so it does nothing.
Back off.
Wait. But there's a lot going on. I know. Like,
Yeah. I just want to make sure everyone's okay here first.
As you're flying, you see off in the night sky the planet Eternia now shining that pinkish green, mirroring with pinks and greens and blues, that beautiful swirl of color. Again, imagine having a planet as your moon, right? It's crazy. I don't know the science involved in that, so it's magic, right? But it is that, like, seeing this beautiful planet just like hung like an orb in the night sky, which it's contrasted so beautifully with the tiny bit further away moon of Dromore, the normal moon, which is now that like blood red, again, this dead celestial object that what was once an avatar of a higher being. It's obviously like Swiftwind did not mean to like overstep, but you realize he is like, oh, I didn't mean we have to leave.
It's okay. No, that is part of the plan. I just want to make sure that everyone's okay here, because I think the reason... You see, she stops herself for a minute and she goes, I think the fact that Eternia is back in the sky has something to do with these sins, demons, angels, which we call them. And I want to help get that sorted, because I think we're not exclusive to the problem. I think we just didn't know we were a part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that. It's Swiftwind's like, yeah, no, oh yeah, no, Adora, that's pretty sound. That's sound. Yeah, no, Attorney has got to be connected, but you're right. There's a lot going on.
I'm excited, and you see, like, she kind of snaps out of this haze, because it's very much kind of shock, the fact that she now just has Shira back after all this time. Literally slam dunked Grace into Valka.
I love the way you flavored that.
No, it literally, all that was going through my head is the Space Jam, like, come on, that's it!
And welcome to that. But yeah, it's...
While the demons are chanting overrated.
Well, the demons.
Yeah.
Overrated.
I saw that meme.
Look, amazing female basketball player. Just she gets 42 points in a single session, and all these like college frat guys who came to like jeer her, like are just awkwardly standing in silence while she dominates the court. It's so fun.
No, I gotta say the MVP though was the cameraman.
The cameraman.
He would film everyone's shots, and then the guy's like faces falling.
Yeah, cut to this incredible athlete who is just swoosh after swoosh, 3-point, and we're just immediately pan back to the section of frat guys who are like, one of them's like checking his phone, the others are like looking around, like
putting their heads in the
it's so funny.
Like at the beginning they were
sorry,
doing
not
like
to
the
derail.
Adora, it's after such an incredible like feat of skill. I think for you, it's that you're on Swiftwind. You can become She-Ra. Attorney is back in the night sky. You and Minrith sent out the call to the princess, that sending to start gathering in Ilvanor. It's wild that, like, after so long of, like, not that you weren't focusing on this problem, but there was a lot to deal with, right? Helping with Ilvanor and all the stuff going on there. Recently, again, with Valka's Grace. Meeting with Dax and Gingie, Minrith, and Valka and Stoic, like, these very new and real friendships and bonds, and suddenly, right, that's, well, I guess you could call it your home, but like the planet you were brought to and raised on and fought alongside, and so you're kind of going through a lot of those. So with the 20, there's a lot you see, but I think there's a lot still you're probably in your own head about.
I definitely am, like, you know, Swiftwind's a comfort animal. She's, you know, like petting his mane and, you know, kind of like, you know, when the way you pat horses, you kind of, like, smooth it along the side. So she's definitely doing that as he's flying. She's like, sorry, it's been a lot, and I'm just trying to process, and, don't get me wrong, I'm excited. And you see, like, she's very deadpan, and is, like, looking at Swiftwind's like, I am elated more than anything. I just don't know if I have the energy to convey that right now. You see
Swiftwind is like, hey, you got it. Let's, you know, I think I saw there may have been some fires over this. Let's go see.
Yeah, let's go over there.
As you fly out, we actually cut back. Dax, as you're finishing getting some of these samples, you hear a tiny little voice in your ear, and look over, and you see Bart has not spoken verbally. You think it was very much a telepathic thing, but a fun little side effect of going through this extra dimensional. Bart has gained a little bit more. What I'm going to call purpose, a little bit more life of his own. So you're gathering, you see Bart, because Bart, it's almost to himself. You see this tiny, cute little spider, big old eyes, is like watching and just, is it food? Is food? And you see Bart looks at you, blinks to it. What?
Sorry. How long have you been able to speak?
What? Speak? I speak? I speak. And you see, he's doing that like, it's almost like that dog thing. He starts going in a little circle. I speak. You hear. I hear. You speak. I hear. Hello? Hello? He's like talking now to Cord who are passing by. And you're noticing no one else is really picking up on this. But Bart has a little bit more of a spark in him than before. Maybe from the planar shroud, maybe from Uriel. We see Bart just, I speak always, but now I'm heard. I speak now to more peoples.
Yes, I understand you.
I understand you! Valka, Adora, Gingie. It does almost look like Dax has a moment where he's just talking to Bart, and you're not hearing Bart, so it's not like, I understand you! And Bart, and just these little, like, two hands go up. But yeah, you see Bart, it is very good. Yes, I have much to say. It's very nice. Do you have sweet?
I'm gonna start searching my pockets for.
It's sweet. He kind of like crawls down across your chest, like watching you. Sir, sweet. It's solid sweet, solid sweet. And go and drain and good. It's solid sweet.
I'm looking for anything that I might have to feed him because I up to this point Dax didn't realize that Bart needed to be fed.
And here's what you realize. It's like, does Bart need to be fed? Is this just kind of like, is this part of what he is now? This fun creature of like, wow, that's odd and magical. And you realize as you pull in, it's like one of the gumdrops that Gingie gave. It's basically a good berry so long ago. You see Bart goes, yes, sweet, solid, sweet, eat. And he comes down and he starts doing that, like, he wraps it himself. And so the gumdrop is this like cocoon base, this like blue silk base. And he kind of takes it, he's like, yes, thank you, very good. And just slowly starts draining the gumdrop. This gumdrop will last him for weeks, honestly, you think. But it's that, is he now just doing this because he can, or does he want to? And you see Bart's just ecstatic to be heard and to be sentient, it sounds like.
I'm gonna let Gingie know that Bart enjoys the cooking.
I didn't know he spoke.
I didn't know that. It's new.
Bart climbs over. Hello, sweet one. Yes, you are sweet. You are friend. Gingie, you don't hear any of this. It's just a spider looking at you, and every so often lifts a leg in that like tap tap kind of thing, and yeah.
Right?
Oh, sorry. I guess. Do I speak spider?
You see, Bart. You speak me. I speak you. Is this spider? Is this talk?
But he says the gumdrop is very good.
Yes, very good. Good, sweet.
Is this the music from Moonlighter?
Would you like something else? Would you need a cookie or?
Do you need cookies?
I don't have.
Bart kind of like, oh, cookie? What? Cookie is sweet?
Yeah.
Cookie is sweet? He crawls all the way down. Again, for Gingie, this is the size of a mount for you, right? So this giant spider, or I shouldn't say giant, but this big old, like, fun, bluey, arcanic spider climbs up and is just, like, kind of, like, oddly circling you, every so often climbing over you, just going, sweet? It's sweet? What is cookie? Is cookie sweet?
I'll just like pull out whatever I just made for everybody and like here.
Bart's eyes grow to the size of giant saucer. Big, sweet. Big. And it's these, like, for, like, a human being, these are muffins. And so for Bart, it's, like, twice the size of it. Sweet. Bart kind of, like, goes up. And these muffins, it's one of those things, Gingie, they're always warm, always fresh. He just kind of settles on top. To anyone, it would look like this is now a fuzzy muffin. Like, not in a good way, like a blue fuzzy muffin. But for you guys, Bart has, like, basically just found his new home. Like, Bart is super excited to have, like, he's warm, he's sweet, he's good. And he kind of, like, does that spider burrow where he just becomes this little blob on a muffin. Dax, as you are introduced now to a more sentient talking Bart, Adora, Valka, Gingie, Dax, the four of you, and Minrith, who was talking more with the leader of the Corps, you guys all are able to gather once more. Everyone is okay here in Machuksa. There is, thankfully, no remnants of demonic possessions or problems. And I think you are all now in that state of, it is pretty late. Is there anything you guys want to discuss with each other? Or is it like, do we want to try to go to bed first?
You see Adora is just like 1,000 yards staring and going, do we want to process by talking about what happened now? Or in the morning after sleep and food?
I think, like, Valka's actually like so energetic and basically just chugged a monster, but looking around at the party is kind of realizing everyone else really needs to sleep right now. So I think she says, sleep, yes, is usually a good idea.
Sounds good.
Sleep would be good.
You see, like, and I say this away from the party, so it's not like I'm not embarrassing Valka, but, you know, I'm teasing her. I'm like, if you really have that much energy, you do have your husband again. Good night.
How old are you? It was that like
20.
I was thinking it, but didn't expect this like 16-year-old girl to say it.
I'm 20!
I'm 20. I'm an adult.
I'm an adult.
I'm tiny little adult. I'm 20. But yes, Minareth has already talked with her leader. Again, Minareth's tent has been set up while you guys were helping the core. Kind of, again, they're a huge this idea of we love to have that circle of service, right? You are doing so much for us. Let's do something for you. You guys can go getting into these small little tents, finding your own personal spaces to sleep. I will say it is one of those, sleep is coming upon you very fast, right? Now that that the adrenaline working through helping the core, studying the fire pits, we are now going to go to sleep. Please, everyone, feel free to hit the long rest button. Get back your hit die, hit points, abilities. Everything's going to recharge. As you all fall asleep, one of my favorite things in all of D&D is, as we sleep, we're about to have some dreams.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since, and it's also been a while just playing, right? So it's not like, oh yeah, dreams. I'm gonna roll just a quick D4. 3. Gingie. Gingie, as you nestle in for bed, it's been a long day, a lot of spell slots, a lot of cooking, a lot of just... I don't know if gingerbread men can get sore wrists. Like, I don't know if arthritis affects cookies the same way as people, but there's been a lot of, like, magical baking and fighting, and so there's that natural, like, ooh, everything just is kind of tense and freezing up. Like, it's that... You remember back in the day, the Muffin Man would kind of like take a rolling pin and roll you out like a chiropractor on days like this. But Gingie, as you go to bed, what I would actually ask is, would you have anything on your mind before sleep? Anything that you would be like ruminating over?
Finding the Muffin Man, contacting him, knowing where he is now, and thinking about like the vegetarians and how I can like get them in contact with him, and just some of that also, like some of my magicalness that I didn't know about, and some of Ariel's magicalness that I'm like, whoa, he's way more powerful than I knew. And all of that.
I think Gingie, there's a lot to think about, and I think specifically in that very much when you go to bed and have a lot on your mind, it's that fun blur of, wow, I am so tired, I didn't realize when my thoughts of this became my, like, very lucid dream. And Gingie, after what seems like just those sleepy polling minutes, suddenly you find yourself in the bakery and things are moving in that fun little slow motion like dreams do. You see yourself cooking with the Muffin Man, but now your eyes in this dream, it's very much that ever so often the Muffin Man kind of goes out of focus, and almost that old TV, like the lines kind of glitch on him, and you're seeing in one frame of mind, there is the Muffin Man. You see his fun little chef's hat, fun little twirly mustache, his overalls, bakery, and you know that is real. Like, there is no, like, this was not an illusion that was put on for you. This is not, like, something. That part of him is so real. That is who he is. He is the Muffin Man. You see yourself baking with him, giving treats to children, baking meals for the families in far, far away that didn't have energy or time to bake it themselves. A lot of this outreach and service that you and he would accomplish together, but also with these flashing you're starting to see more of that truer aspect. And Gingie, what I will say is there's a lot you can look into. Would you rather try to look more at what we would call his true form? Or would you rather more kind of that, almost an insight of what could be gained from seeing the man underneath the Muffin Man?
There we go. I think I'd be looking at his like true form.
Yeah. Gingie, this form that flickers, and in your mind you know this is just as much a part of the Muffin Man as the mustache, the hat, and the apron. But as those form, you see those three kind of flicker away, because every so often you see a resplendent warrior. The armor is suddenly silver, scale-plated mail, bent down with buckles and straps. You see him in glorious armor, wings outstretched. Those times where you and he would have those cute little hugs where he's hugging you with like the back of his hand and you're like full wrapped around the fingers, that like fun little hug you would do. And you see that it's the angelic wings that are also now wrapping and curving inward in that endless spiral of warmth and safety. And you're seeing these flashes and moments of your life and moments. And this creature is so powerful. The things I think you would notice just passively are, this is a warrior. You've now... Having now made these friendships with like Adora and Valka, Shen and Dax, you see people who know battle, know war, know like combat and strategy, and you're now really seeing that in Uriel's eyes. This is a man who has fought, and maybe not fought in good ways. Not to say in any way he's not a good person, but that he has seen war or big conflict and things he has had to overcome and watch from others. But for as much of that like deeper sorrow in those eyes, you're starting to see this person who is chosen to be a baker. You see a baker, you see a gardener, you see him out in the dirt growing the fresh herbs, vegetables, grains needed for his bakery. You see the man who goes out and serves the poor and the needy. You see someone who really gives of themselves and yet could be the most dangerous creature if needed. I think the other thing, Gingie, just on a passive, this form of the Muffin Man has a truly impressive scabbard. Something meant to hold a sword. This same scabbard is one, and I don't even mean this figuratively, it is quite literally identical to the one Adora has for the Sword of Protection. You would assume they've got to be different, right? I mean, the Sword of Protection scabbard and all that was with Adora, or wherever it was before when you were with the Muffin Man, but he has a similar scabbard, but no blade. No weapon. And I would even say, you now, as your mind is wrapping around these ideas of the Muffin Man in my life and the power he holds and who does that make me, you're having glimpses of your life, these moments of, Gingie, grab the knife, let's cut up the herbs, we need some more mint for the frosting. And they're like, oh, you grab it, I'll grab the sugar. And just that very soft always, no, you grab it. And thinking of those moments and, why don't you go ahead, take this, let's cut out the shape for your gingerbread house. And all these little times, he's never once wielded a weapon that you've known him. Even those simple little dinky, like they're basically blunt metal objects at that point, those kitchen knives that people seem to have, he's never held weapons. The most he's ever held in his hands is like a rolling pin, a whisk, maybe like trowels, things to dig around in the dirt. He's never once held something with a blade. And it's just an odd thing, Gingie, that your dreams are taking you through these images. Kind of when you're dreaming, it pieces together what you have seen in your life and then can connect better. And at the end of it, Gingie, there's then still that present question, what are you? Right? If this is the Muffin Man, if this is a strange, lore-filled creature that was, I mean, for most people, it's a nursery rhyme, right? Like, but for you, this is a mentor, a creator, and so much more. And Gingie, I would just ask, before your dream ends, before we kind of move on, is there any last things you would want to, like, push for in this dream state?
And who, like, never wielding a weapon, and so could I assume, I was wondering, he has the scabbard, but he has no sword. I was wondering if it was either taken from him or if he just chose, to avoid weapons, and so I'm wondering if it is the latter of him just choosing not to.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is there
Yeah.
a reason to kind of dig into a little bit? Or?
I'd say this is what's odd. It's gonna be it's an insight check with advantage because you're in literally your own memories right now. You're having an insight check. It's almost more of an insight check on yourself, right? Of, am I remember? Is this me dreaming and remembering this, or is this me dreaming and like hoping to find something?
215.
215s. That's crazy. Gingie, we will actually, if I can throw you this curveball, we can role play out. I think your mind will cultivate a scene. You dream there was a time long ago, back before Far Far Away became crazy, back when you're still very young. I think we'll role play this out because this was a time, yeah, you think you remember asking this question to him at one point. And we can role play it out. Like, what would that look like? How would you as Gingie want to, like, broach the subject to him?
I would probably just ask him, like, you never used the knife, you never cut the dough or cut the herbs, and I'm happy to. I just wonder, is there a reason?
You, in this memory, as you say that to him, the Muffin Man's eyes get really cloudy and sad. There is deep memory in there that you don't know if you'll ever truly comprehend. And you see the Muffin Man, oh, my sweet little Gingie. I have used knives before. Everyone uses knives. Knives are tools. And you see, at this point, this is like the end of the day. Some of the last customers are leaving. And it was one of those, it was a big day at work where, like, you were doing a lot of cutting. I mean, everyone wanted fresh herbs from the garden today. So you were just, like, running around with these big shears trying to get everything. So it's that natural. You're exhausted. You're like, why aren't you using shears and knives? You see Uriel, the Muffin Man, goes, Gingie, everyone in their life must use knives. They are tools, and they are not always tools of creation. A knife is something sharp, something to be used to cut and break and destroy as well as create. I don't need knives, though, anymore. My hope for you, little Gingie, is there will be a day where you will use a knife, but you then put it down for the last time and never pick it up again. And you see that the answer to the question of this old memory, this is a choice. This is a man who does know. But thankfully, it was not he was forced to give it up or anything. He has made a choice in his life to never fight again, to leave it behind. And Gingie, I think with that, like, comforting memory and you seeing him pick you up, taking you back, like, to make you some soup for the night, we will cut away slowly as your dreams unfold and grow. We will cut to Dax. Dax, you have some fun dreams, of course, and so I'm going to start same kind of prompt. Would there be anything specific you have like in your mind this evening before bed?
I think with Dax, he would be still kind of trying to figure out exactly what he's trying to do. Like he's helped this group, he's done a little bit of stuff with them, but he's still just trying to figure out exactly what it is he wants, almost.
Right. And I'll even clarify. I love this phrase, figure out what he wants. Is he referring to just your patron or to Dax, or could it be to both?
Kind of all of it.
Yeah.
He left home to try to make a name for himself, to impress some people, and the world's a bit bigger than he realized, and he's not entirely sure exactly what he wants. And he also his patron helped him out, and he doesn't really know what they want.
Yeah.
Just that there's going to be some big things.
Oh, you love to see it. Fun fact, there are some rolls I do for dreams, intensity-wise, and this is going to be fun. Dax, your dreams start pretty abruptly. You are definitely sitting there, like, laying in this fun little cot. The tent's already really warm. Like, these are maybe even a bit magically integrated. And so in the back of your mind, you're like, that'd be fun. What cantrips are used to solidify heat from... And as... boom, you find yourself in a dream, no longer here. You are in a vast, dark plane. And for some, this darkness would be scary, but of course, living your life in the sewers and Underdark, it's very welcoming. This idea of darkness for you has always been a place of discovery, of a place of safety. There's ways to hide and accomplish things that light can be so helpful, but darkness is safe. In here, Dax, you are standing in a plane where you see almost a half opaquely reflected version of yourself standing down as if you were standing on that mirror surface that has been clouded. Looking out through the darkness, eventually your eyes will focus on a singularity, a spot where even in darkness, there is a point, a focal bringing, and you realize that whether it's coming to you or you to it, the distance is closing. The singularity approaches ever closer. It is a vast rift, stretching both feet and miles high. This strange cut in maybe even time and space, like singularities would be, where you feel like even darkness must bend into this object. As you approach, you hear your patron's voice. It's been quite some time, but you hear, "Young Drow, you have found me in this place." And you hear for half a moment contemplation, and then, "Your mind has questions. Speak them, my champion."
Okay. Good to speak to you again. Can I who exactly are you? I've been adventuring with so many people that are deific unto themselves, and I don't even know who you are.
Go ahead. I want you to give me a persuasion check. I'll let you know, it's only a DC 12 right now, but it is a pretty two-sided. There's either going to be an obvious success or an obvious no, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Loading. Persuasion. And 23.
Oh, a resounding 23. Dax, as you answer this, again, you feel the sound vibrations just pulled into the singularity before you, and you hear the voice of your patron. You have done many works in my name already. It is only right that I give you answer. I found you in a place of darkness, elemental downpour. And you flash back to those moments where it was scary. Again, the adrenaline in your mind. Are you going to die right now or live? There was so much happening. You hear the creature. I saw this. For there is little that is not under my domain. But for the first time, I truly found someone who I have never seen before. And you see, the voice gives pause. I am known by many names. Dawn Father, Creation Bringer, Gold Rain. You may call me Inti, little one. For mine is the creation and domain of the expanses. And just for a moment in the singularity, you see that brining, shining light of gold appear like an eye silhouette where pupil meets darkness around, and you feel warmth, brightness, heat, radiation, and it is gone as the singularity almost pulls in again on itself. I am the one who found you. There is much that you may not understand, but perhaps the time is almost at hand. And you see for a moment, Dax, you get the feeling you might be able to keep asking some questions, some clarifyings. Again, that 23, again, it is a success like we discussed. What else would you start asking of Inti to put the name?
Okay. Sorry, could you send how that's spelled just to make sure that I have it right?
Gladly. Because, yes, once you know how it's spelled, it's going to be one of those hey, wait a second. So, in the campaign link, I am putting Inti. And I'll send a list of titles too, probably after this, just if you're curious about those. But yes, Inti, that INTI, is speaking to you, and yeah, you feel the tension of Inti is ready for questions.
So I assume that these are the right people I was supposed to find. What's next? The world is ending. How exactly do I stop it?
You hear the voice pause, and you realize it is a soundless chuckle. You feel even the creature. Nothing can stop fate, little one of the darkness. But I saw in you what can become. Dawn brings change and light. You will see your purpose on the morrow. And you hear even the voice. I see that you have what could be and the qualifications to bring about even greater change. A way to help one whom you may not even realize needs help. I can offer you much if you can take it.
I think this is something that is more important than just myself. I will do anything.
You hear the voice then of Inti. Use your gifts and skills. Lead them where they need to be led. You are not one of the chosen of the primordial gods. The four that ordained their chosen did so in ways even I, nor those with me, understand. And for the first moment when you said those with me, you feel, again, that flicker of there are many powerful things hiding behind this singularity. Just as much as that powerful golden light, there are other swirling forces. And you see Inti goes, I chose you, just as my consorts will choose others, as we have opted to bring change in our way. Seek me out when you arrive. Perhaps, and you see the voice realizes that maybe even Inti is about to realize something that it didn't first consider. Perhaps you cannot only help another, but bring help to me. And as he says that, this deeper masculine voice kind of ringing through that, once again, it folds into your ears before being pulled into that singularity. I think you have enough natural passive arcana to realize this deific creature is inside the singularity. That the singular, again, as we know, it does not let anything escape. And some of those powers, you wonder if that's why it's in a D&D term, a warlock pact rather than a clerical oath or paladin or a paladin oath or clerical vows, because a pact is something that is more two ways. You are both bringing out to this Dawnfather creature just as much as he gives to you. And in this moment, you look down and realize you have been pulled even closer to the singularities before. And while, yes, a dream, you probably don't want to get too close to the singularity yet.
Okay. Are you trapped? Did somebody trap you?
A trap, by definition, is something that one cannot leave. But can it truly be a trap if it was yourself that enacted it? I do not believe I am trapped, but I do not wish to be here much longer. And with that much longer, you feel your patrons start to slowly push you with that power, kind of just help to bring you out. And yeah, the creature pulling you away from singularity is that force powerful enough so that you are not brought into whatever encasement there is here. Dax, as your dreams push and fold, these thoughts now swirling your mind of, so it trapped itself, what does that mean? Something on the dawn. We move away from this dream to Adora. Adora, what would be on your... Or do you think you would have anything very specific in your mind before sleep?
I think the conversation with Swiftwind threw her off a bit. So she's thinking of her friends... Because I feel like she holds all of her friends, old and new, in the same high regard and love in her heart. But it's almost like she's feeling guilt about forgetting about her Etherean friends in that moment. And I wouldn't say most importantly, but it turns back to friends she has left behind.
Interesting. You, in your dreams, it is not a smooth transition, but is not an immediate jolt to a dream. As you have those kind of tense few, like, half hour of just kind of laying awake, thinking, eventually, Adora, your dreams put you in a very specific place. You have never been in this spot before, but around you is chic tile and metal, very artistic with its harsh edges leading into these more triangular shapes. There is heavy technology here. Not quite unlike the first ones, but you see, not in that it is not powered by radiance, it is powered by technology. This is not First One tech, this is not Arcano tech, this is like true hard data, science, what is being pumped in here. And so the very unnatural green glow of these lines that shoot down and around, cutting like switchboards and computer programming around the walls here. You have never been to this place before, but as you turn, you see a spectral wall, like a force field or spell, but beyond it, in a rather dirty room, but not dirty as in it's uncleanly, but very cluttered as things have been broken and thrown. Standing on the wall, her feet clinging claws into the ceiling, hanging upside down, is Katra. She is not looking at you. Rather, she is facing the wall. As she's, again, hanging upside down, I'd even throw, kind of like in that monkish way where you can just walk on walls, and so let alone her claws, just allow her to, it's almost as if she was meditating upside down like a bat. You immediately hear dum, 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 footsteps approaching. As you turn, immediate shock and fear, but no, you don't think you're here, as Hordak is approaching you. But then Hordak almost splits and you realize, no, these are two Hordaks. But it's not Hordak. His eyes are glazed green with the glow of the technology of this, is prison is maybe the best idea you could come up with. As they come, you hear, oh, are we going to have another meeting again? And you didn't realize Katra has somehow soundlessly landed on her feet and is facing forward. The Hordak-looking clones step forward. One of them opens its mouth, but it does not move its lips. Simply noise emerges. You are being brought before Horde Prime. You will show civility, respect, and loyalty. And it reaches out, and its palm kind of like splits a little bit, touching into the pure technology. The force field shuts, and you see Katra. You know Katra well enough. There's that immediate, bolt. I mean, whenever you imagine us who have dogs and cats, the second you open a cage on an animal and its first reaction is run. But Katra, in that moment, you know that she immediately thinks run and then holds herself. Has enough composure to not just bolt. Katra is led down the hall. Would you like to follow Katra, or do you want to stay maybe at the jail cell? Which the barrier shield is not brought back up yet. It's like now just an open room.
I'll follow Katra, but I want to keep my eyes out. Because Horde Prime? That's something
Horde Prime, yeah, because canonically you don't know that yet. This is how we moved around the show canon. You follow the figures of Hordak and Katra down the hallways. You realize you are on a spaceship. As you pass by giant bay windows, galaxies, nebulae, constellations, floating celestial objects, spackled like a Jackson Pollock painting across the universe in beautiful chaos and symmetry. But as you are stunned by this, you realize Katra and the bots don't even stop and pause. Either they've seen this before or there's something much more important to them. And I think you have that moment of, like, you almost fall behind because it's that, like, whoa, this is, like, space. You catch up and you are led to what we know as the bridge of the ship. Doors open with that slight whir. Before you, all around, is a giant dome of star and glass. There are small, in the peripheries of this truly enormous room, small little stations where you see further Hordaks or clones are at little stations, like typing away. A lot of them have, again, their palms have that, like, almost split in it, where it is, like, on the control panel and, like, interfacing both, like, wirelessly wired and just with their fingertips as they are running this monstrous ship. Outside the ship, you are... Go ahead and give me a perception check, actually, as to look outside the ship in this moment. Or to look through the bay windows.
Perception?
Mm-hmm.
12.
12. There are thousands of ships.
Fun.
Each one, not as big as this one, you would assume, but identical. Carbon copies hanging. And again, there's very little concept of direction in space, but all of them are oriented the exact same way, giving this false illusion of down. That is such an unnatural thing where you feel now an artificial gravity enacting and seeing these ships, and yet you know, like, but there's no such thing as down in space. And so it's that very odd feeling. Your eyes finally then focus in on a truly magnificent throne in the middle of the room. A figure is sitting upon it. Pale, polished white skin like Alaboni, with ears pointed, almost elven-like, what we know in D&D as Githzerai. This Githzerai man, with impressive-looking dreads pulled back in elegant, artful form, in simple white robe, but the material you immediately can clock, that's a fine, powerful... Imagine if Kevlar was the consistency of silk, right? That, like, wow, that is insane craftsmanship. This figure is sitting very regally composed on a throne and welcomes Katra. How have you enjoyed your stay? As he smiles, Katra kind of grimaces. I'm running out of things to break. You should send a few more chairs down.
Adora snorts and then catches herself in mid-snort.
You
Coughs
snort
it away.
for half a second. Prime's eyes dart a little bit almost to where you were, but blinks it off.
Adora's just literally like, I'm
What?
here?
I'm here, but I'm not. Because again, no one else has given you any... Like, Katra should have seen you. Anyone should have seen you. But in that snort, almost. But nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I think as you tense, you kind of miss a few of the exchange. Something about, like, fine furniture. But you see, Prime looks... Have you extended an offer yet? And as he says that, you see Katra has a look in her eyes. I don't know. I mean, there's no real big timetable for me, and you haven't given me much to think about. The figure raises out of the chair, truly impressive, like this 8-foot-tall figure. Not large enough to be like, whoa, a giant, but like that, wow, and just impressive. Kind of like you think this figure would be taller than She-Ra if you were formed out. Prime walks forward to Katra and raises out this kind of like odd, both mechanical and artificial clawed hand, and puts a singular pointed finger right under her nose. Now, you and I both know that it's not a matter of what you want. And you see he slowly rotates his hand and lets the finger raise to her temple. But what you have to lose if you do not accept the deals. Katra has that immediate, again, you know her very well, that instinctive, like, fear and panic, quick compose it, tamp it down. He hasn't been back to talk to me in a couple of weeks. So, until I get the go-ahead, we're pretty much here. As Catra says that, you see Prime gives a small, very thin, curt smile. Well, that's disappointing, isn't it? Because until we are on our way, I must keep myself fresh with battle strategies and terms of torture. And there's not very many organics on the ship for me to study. And you see, as he gives this kind of threat, Catra is about to speak, and you hear a voice you know all too well of Pitch Black. Ah, but she's not being very truthful to you. And Catra's shadow flickers, and Pitch steps out of it.
Whoa.
As Pitch Black steps out from Catra's shadow, you see Prime. Lord Pitch, a pleasure. And you see Pitch gives a gracious, deep bow with both hands open, slinks back up. I have been talking with Catra for some time. And you hear his very elegant, silky voice. Catra looks so pissed. Because, again, you realize, yeah, Pitch has been talking to Catra. You could assume Pitch probably was talking to her before you showed up. And she was trying to, like, pretend like he wasn't. And I will give you this kind of, like, throwball. But only in Catra. Doesn't seem like Pitch wants to talk to Prime or whatever. Or could he? So, as, like, Prime...
Pausing, as if, playing a little too much of a game at turn-based mode. Like,
turn-based. In Baldur's Gate, now I enter turn-based mode. Yeah, no, but...
With all this information, like, Catra... Adora's been trying to assess this information of, like, but Catra was her working with Hordak, why is she imprisoned? Oh, but she's working with them? Wait, she's not complying? And so she's in this weird, and I feel like the snort really almost solidified it, of, like, seeing that Catra's still in there, if that makes sense, after everything.
Yeah.
And she's almost unconsciously found herself trying to step between Catra and this Horde Prime, whatever he calls himself.
Yeah.
And she notices that stance. And then also notices Pitch coming out from the shadows and recognizes that that's probably not a very happy thing for Catra, because that's something our
Shadow Weaver loved playing in the shadows of your guys' shadows.
Of our shadows.
Yeah. As you get these instinctive, a lot of reactions at once,
it's like...
Pitch is speaking. You see, Emperor Galaxar Lotor Prime. I regret to inform you, I lost your gracious gift to me. And you see Prime kind of smile. I am aware I lost connection with my clone a while back. A pity. But there are more to be gained. And you look and see he has waved a hand, and one of the Hordak clones that, again, the Prime version you're speaking to seems like, yeah, somehow a much more like fuller form. The version of Hordak that you would call a Hordak steps forward, one of these next to Catra, and you see Prime, another gift from me. Use it well. Pitch looks at this clone, this blank body, and just, you are too kind, your royal emperor. Pitch gives a bow, and with the bow, you watch Pitch's cloak shadow moves forward, touches the shadow of the Hordak clone, and he slowly absorbs as this clone smiles, now much more sentient himself, as Pitch now speaking as if Hordak were here, in Hordak's voice. Your Emperor, I believe the time is at hand. As promised, Eternia now hangs back in the mortal galaxy. You get that, I mean, like, that was not Pitch, but, like, you see Pitch is definitely, like,
you
capitalizing on this. Yeah, like, don't you do that. That was, Arthur gave up a good wish spell for that. Right, but you see, obviously, Pitch is capitalizing on some previous deal, and you see Prime, Yes, I had started getting readings, but of course, and you see they both turn to Katra, we won't have a direct course until we have reached an accord. And you get the immediate, I'll give you this and that insight. They're able to track Eternia, but it's not perfect. It would take maybe a couple weeks for them to find... Because remember, Eternia's not back where it could have been. It's been put back as a celestial moon for Dremor. Crazy, right? And so you're getting that immediate like, oh yeah, he could track it down, but that would take time. But they need Katra for something. And as you look, I think you get immediate... Katra's not only from Eternia, she's probably the most mortal person in this room. Clones are clones. Horde Prime, whatever he is, may not be very natural. And Pitch is just a shadow right now. So you see Katra, suddenly the point of focus. Once again, that animalistic, very cat-like, don't like. She's about to run. All I'm saying is, I just need to make sure that my needs are met. A girl's got to look out for herself, and you see she's trying to, like, jaunt it off. She runs her claws against the other clone who's just kind of, like, statuesque, standing there, rakes in a bit, like, scratches the paint. You've agreed to 2 out of 3. I think we can make a deal. 1, Eternia gets to be mine when all's said and done. And you see Prime goes, of course.
Insight check.
On Prime?
Yep.
Go ahead and give me an insight check.
It's not like I'm guessing, because, you know, most evil people turn on each other.
It's also the, like, you know the show, and so it's like, what do you... Yeah, no, I feel
I'm
it.
not trying to do insight check. I'm trying to do...
Too late, yeah.
That one! He's such a kind person!
Wow, he's gonna give Katra the planet Eternia? Wait, that's still bad.
Wait a minute.
But you see, Katra, like, number 1, she's like, I get to rule Eternia. And you say, of course. You see Katra goes, number 2, I'm the boss. I'll help you, but you're not in charge of me. I have my people. We'll do our work, and I've got my own armies on Eternia. And you see, Horde also, or Prime goes, of course. I have my own wars to wage. And you see, Katra stops, and this is where, because you realize they've gotten to number 3. I get to be the one to kill the She-Ra. And you see both the Pitch Hordak, or Pordak?
Pordak.
Hitch?
Hitch is funnier.
Hitch is funnier. Yeah, but you see Hitch and Prime both stop, because again, for some reason this is a sticky point. You see Pitch, Hordak, Conclone, steps forward. Now Katra, that is not the deal we agreed upon. We need the She-Ra. We cannot kill her for fear of losing out on such a valuable tool. And you see Pitch, there's a lot of malice in that word of tool, but you see Prime leans forward. And of course, if anyone is to kill She-Ra, it will be me. I will say, even on a nat 1, in the same way Katra and Pitch talk about She-Ra, same exact words in Prime's voice. Obviously, he's never met you, but this dude has some serious effing beef with She-Ra. With whatever. And you don't know the history yet. Again, that's something like...
It's like, I know I had beef with those two, but like...
What'd I do to you?
What did I do to you, Rando? You know?
And so it's an odd point of, like, Katra's third point in this deal is to kill me. And, like... They're arguing over who gets to.
So I feel like Adora's plan is she's gonna wait until Katra's alone again, and either insight or try and do, because she saw with the snort that Horde Prime almost saw her. I think almost like a ghost, she's gonna try and do something to, like a ghost almost, to try to make her presence known.
What do you want to try in this moment?
So, I wouldn't say it's in this moment because I'm not gonna be able to get any actual reading off of Katra while she's still in the presence of something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Trying to wait until Katra's alone to see if you can affect the world strong enough.
I've known her long enough that she's not going to drop face if anything happens right now.
Yep.
She will only drop face into her true colors.
It's got to be 1-to-1. Yep, that has always been her vibes. You see Katra kind of leans against the Horde bot as if it was like a statue again, just that very nonchalant, checking her nails. Well, I just have to be sure. Adora has to die. You can't stop her or contain her. And because you said, stop her to Prime, contain her to Pitch. And you see Catcher just... The easiest way to deal with that person is to kill her. And how hard could it be to find another first one baby? Come on, it's a big galaxy. You see Prime... No harder than you think, my dear. I have long hated Enoch for what he robbed of me, but he has assured the... You see, Prime stomps, kind of chooses a word here. Enoch. Well, I don't think anyone would ever see another first one again in this reality. Unless, and he kind of looks at Pitch, there is movement of further Nephilim yet? And you see Pitch, not to my knowledge, my lord. With that kind of quaint smile. Again, Adora, it's that like Nephilim inside check. I think passively it's that like something about Enoch and first ones, and you're like, who? But like,
well, no, I think she knows this point about Enoch.
Yeah, like you've heard enough. Not a lot, I will say. Lore-wise, for my notes, there's a ton you can learn, but it's more of.
I was given almost everything from Bob the Tomato.
It's but there's still more that yet to be revealed.
Okay.
It's more in this moment of, yeah, there have yet to be other Nephilim like you, but in theory, a Nephilim of the first ones that is a woman of pure heart that the spirit of She-Ra could choose could pass on, but that would be very, very, very wild to get and wouldn't happen really anytime soon. And so you think in this moment, you see Hordak, a shame. And then Prime kind of agrees silently with that sentiment. In any case, we agree that She-Ra must live, as she is very valuable to Eternia. I would allow, and you see at this point, Catra's ears kind of perk up inadvertently of that, like, you don't think she's heard the words, I would allow, ever, from Prime. You see Prime, I would allow certain concessions to be made about the other champions and the other princess for you. And you see Catra, you think Princess Hordak was using the plural. Instead of saying princesses, and you see Catra, go on. Hordak, or Prime goes, we do not need every princess on Eternia. I'm sure you can slake your thirst with a few of them. And once we have assured we have gotten what we need of She-Ra, you have my assurance that she would be yours. And you see, Prime says, you immediately notice Pitch doesn't love the sound of this. Again, Pitch is the one who definitely wants her alive. But you get the vibe, again, kind of like you were trying to insight earlier, villains promise villains things all the time. Are they ever going to follow up on them? Who knows? Yeah. But you see it's not like he's willing to, like, entertain the idea, even if it's a lie. Catra stops. Rule Eternia, get my armies, and I could kill her. Deal. As she says deal, you see the Hordak Pitch clone smile. Its eyes go from... First it was green, then red, and now these red eyes swirl with blackness. As it cracks its head, the shadow stretches, connects to Catra. Catra's eyes go black over. Off in the corner of the ship, you hear... And a clone... Lord Prime, we have located the Eternia and Dromore. Prime kind of smiles. What is our heading and approximate time? And you see the bot heading of 56 by 28 by 39, going to, and he starts listing off a bunch of different stars or like things nearby, like basically how we use like ley lines, longitude, latitude, but like, hey, here's the degrees based on a nearby star, and then after rattling these off, approximate heading by 1 by 8 by 9 by 3 days, and when he says days, go ahead, give me an insight check. I do have to say it's at disadvantage because I said 1 by 8 by 9 by 3 days. They are using a metric you are very unfamiliar with, right? This is whatever metric this is for chronological.
Oh, come on! One of them was a nat 20.
Oh,
11.
11. You don't think it's 3 days because when they're saying days, it's somehow referring to whatever their passage of time is. On an 11, it's really tough. You might say that could mean months, probably. Like, day would be wild. Again, you have very little frame of reference besides maybe the Spirit of She-Ra of like space travel. So it's like when they're saying days, it might mean relative to them. The final number could mean what's relative to them, but the other numbers could be talking about singular quantitative, like other periods of time based in galaxies. Like it's that like 1 could equal the trip itself. Like we are only moving once. So what does 8 and 9 equal? If 3 is days to them, 1 is trip. 8 and 9 could mean like, is 8 like for us and is 9 like the actual time, right? Again, space and time are very weirdly relative when you're moving that fast. So it's that like, it could be anywhere from 8 days to 8 months, you would assume. Or 9 days to 9 months, right? Anywhere between a week to a couple months. But Prime is coming to Dremore.
Nope.
Nope. As Megan says that, breaking the illusion. I'm kidding. Who's there? You see Pitch recedes back into his bot. Perfect. I will be back. And you see the clone shadows itself down and pulls itself away as Pitch now has another toy to play with. As that happens, you watch Katra is smiling. You think this is what she wanted eventually, and there's enough. Again, even if it's a lie, the promise has been enacted once, and so she has certain ground to stand on. Prime kind of looks. If you would like, you can talk with me for the remainder of the voyage. I do not assume you would enjoy your quarters. You see Katra does that. That's a little bit of that tantalizing bait of like, do you want to be in a cage for the trip or do you want to be out? And Katra, sure. Let's talk about what we might encounter while we're there. See Prime kind of smiles. My thoughts exactly. The last thing you will see before you have a chance to really do stuff, a clone does walk forward. Lord Emperor, do you wish to put a halt on Project Paladin? And you see Prime stops. For the time being, how many ships could we spare? And you see, it's odd. You realize he's talking to himself, even though not literally to the Horde clone. The Horde clone bot is about to answer, and Prime kind of takes the information electronically. Keep half the fleet in this quadrant if we are sure that the Black Line is here. But let us take 58% of our current fleet, leaving behind 8% at the, and you see he rattles off a weird astrological name or astronomical name of something like a nebulae that you've never heard of. We can leave behind another 16% at that spot, leaving us with a pretty good 48% of our forces, which will be enough to take over a primitive, unguarded planet such as Dremore. I know.
Adora doesn't make that, noise, but...
I was going to say, is Adora snorting again? In this moment, you see Katra has now, because the clone she was on has now walked away and they're my footrest is gone. Is there anything you want to try? Because you don't know yet now when Katra's going to be alone.
Yeah, that was my main thing. I want to try and do something when she was deciding whether or not to stay. But then you kept narrating, so I'm like, I probably wouldn't have.
It was a pretty fast decision, I will point out.
So what I'm going to try and do is I'm gonna try to, So, in season 1, there's an episode called Princess Prom.
I know, yeah.
Where Catra and Adora have a dance together.
Fun
but
dance
they're
battle.
villains at that. Or, they're against each other at that point.
Antagonistics, yes.
Antagonistic towards each other. I want to see if I can try and, like, get a message to Catra that I want to talk to her. Like, in the sense of, like, that my presence is here. And I want to see if I can try to put my hand on her waist in the way that it was during the dance.
Oh,
like,
fun,
almost
yeah.
like a muscle memory kind of a thing.
I will let you know, that's really smart. That, like, this is something that only a certain kind of person would know.
Only one person would
It's a very subtle thing. I think this is awesome. I will let you know, before we attempt this, a little bit of that, like, pull behind the curtain. Prime does have actually still a wildly higher passive perception than Catra. Catra's passive perception is still really good. She is a very competent warrior, this kind of rogue, but there is a good chance Prime might still see it.
But then I'm wondering, would Prime even know what it is?
Exactly. That's really the thing of, does he have the insight or...
It's not me, like, riding on Catra's back. It's me, Adora, right?
T-A-D-O...
Trying a door with a plus A.
And yeah, Catra...
Dora.
Q? Why are you spelling Q, right? Like,
Q?
no, not Q. O... Period, right? Go ahead. Here's what you're gonna give me.
Okay.
This is a... Now, this sounds odd. It's actually a Constitution check.
So not
Because
like
you are using actual will force.
Could it be a
'cause
con save?
it's not a safe.
Dang it.
Thankfully, it's not a safe. It is something where you are trying to... Because you have no physical form, and your mental form is also technically not here. It's more of that Constitution, like, what can I enact in the space I'm in?
Okay,
Here we go.
is this the Box of Doom type roll? Or
It's
is
not
it
Box of
just
Doom yet. Again, it's... Even though Prime might see, that would be Box of Doom if Prime starts
Alright.
noticing.
So I just have a +1 to my con.
Okay, nothing crazy. Because also, in Dream Space, I will let you know, it's wild to enact in Dream Space anyway.
3.
That is a 3. I'm going to make 2 rolls then. I'll let you know. The first one's for Catra. Catra with her... Okay. You don't think Catra responds. Gonna roll for Prime.
Oh wait, I have inspiration. Can I roll again?
Yeah, roll me again. Roll me again.
Yes.
Yes,
Can
right.
I roll please?
I think everyone does have a point of inspiration. I'm remembering from last time now. Everyone has a point of inspiration right now.
And
Here we
I'll
go.
try and earn more inspiration again.
I will let you
promise.
know.
I know I'm doing something selfish right now.
Catra got a 14 on the die. Horde Prime got a 19 on the die. So there is stuff. Again, we'll see what happens if you would like to use the die.
Yes, please.
You have a +1 to this.
Blow on it. Not you. Blow on it.
Blowing. Here we go. Thank you.
Lonnie, wherever you are, blow on it.
Blow.
Thanks.
Here we go. Ready? And +1 to this roll. Oh, man. That is also a 3 for a 4. That was a 3 on the
If
die.
I roll a 3 again.
I think... No.
Come on, let me all these Beardsley
No.
this. Come on.
Let me
I'm
have a
rolling
Beardsley
3.
moment.
Snake
You can't,
eyes.
like, ask for a Beardsley moment. It has to happen. I think, Adora, it is very much... This is a dream state. It's hard to enact physical things in a dream state unless you are a creature of dreams. Like Pitch and Sandman. There are entities that exist
so not
in
a
these realms.
physical thing.
It's something where... But here's the thing. I will have to say, on a 3, you're trying to enact a change, doing things. Catra is not noticing this. You see her eyes are now kind of fixated on the now holographic image of Dromore that has been drawn up on one of these high vaulted like window panes. Kind of that like, you know it's 2-dimensional, but it seems 3-dimensional. As looking at this like image of Dromore, her eyes are getting that very like hunter focused cat like she is ready to go. She does not then notice this, but as on I will let you know, a 19 you're gonna hit this, a 19 plus 17
Plus 17?
Horde Prime is a truly horrific bad guy. He is very perceptive. There are very few challenge ratings below a 20 that can hit that. He's a high challenge rating kind of creature. You put the hand and you're trying, because you're like, it's that ghost, like,
Come on!
touch. And so you're more like smacking this up, like, come
I
on.
thought it'd be like the BBC Ghosts, where it's just like the...
Yeah, no, I love that show, yeah. As you're trying, you don't recognize Frozen, because I think you are. You're very concentrated, like, just touch catcher, just like that. Come on, if I touch her waist, like when we were dancing, maybe she'll recognize it. And in this moment, you don't recognize or realize when Horde Prime has walked up behind you and slowly leans down, almost like a parent to a child, leans down into your ear. How can I be of assistance?
Adora is frozen.
Actually, you say you're frozen. You look up. Catcher seems frozen. Everything seems frozen. It's as if Horde Prime is moving very fast right now. I will let you know. Time stop.
Yes, time stop!
It's horrible. Technological time stop. It's as if he had cast time stop using technology. So, boom, time stop. How can I be of assistance?
What's your deal? Like, straight up, like, still trying to put my hand on...
You're trying to touch catcher. What's your deal?
Now, DM, this is me talking to the DM and not to Horde
Yeah,
Prime.
yeah.
I want to stall.
Yeah,
As long as I can and try and make a deception check to try and still get Adora's Catcher's attention.
Horde goes, A pleasure, Mara. No. The new one. Adora.
Gee, bitch.
Oh, it's worth a lot to me. And I have a little... I'm looking at a clock over here, like, keeping track of this, because you are trying to run out the time. Oh,
like,
well.
let me know when I can do it.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
You see Prime looks at you. You are a powerful little entity.
Thank you for recognizing that. Most people don't.
Of course. If you fail to recognize power, power will rob you blind.
Well, I can see that, and like gesturing to the clones, like, got a lot of power. Stuff you this sounds so bad that like I stop you a little bit.
Got empowered you.
Wait, when but
Horde Prime
trying to
gives a
flatter
lifeless smile. Doesn't reach the eyes, just that grin. I have long awaited your return. Do you know? And you see in this moment, he touches a singular, invisible button on this, like, armor shirt he has. And it kind of pulls aside, drapes aside. And here's the thing. It is like a cybernetic body you're looking at. And it's ripped. It's a jacked cybernetic body, right? It's one of those, like, wow, like, pectorals, abs. As the cloak or this, like, shirt toga falls away, leaving only, like, kind of that warrior stance of, like, just, like, pants, bare shirt, like a monk fighter would.
Right.
He goes, you may not remember, or you might. I don't know how your thing works yet. And he opens up his chest, and you see a gouging scar that looks like ripped space-time. Almost like, and I'm throwing this very specific, almost like a singularity inside this dude's chest. Like a scar of a weapon. Light and space kind of folding in on itself, held by something inside him. You gave this to me. No, not Mara, another one, but...
It's pretty gnarly.
Oh, I was still at the foot of my father when this came to me. Do you know? And you see he is about to reach out. How long I've waited. And his hand starts tracing from shoulder to hip to give you a matching set. And again,
Meanwhile, I'm uncomfortable.
And I will let you, at the end of this, you can do something right now. He has ended the time stop. Catcher's about to notice things have changed too, but what would you do first? Again, this isn't true initiative. It's like you have a chance to do something.
Okay. Give me a minute.
Give me a minute. Real Eleanor is like, whoa, that's a lot.
Eleanor's like, I need a moment.
Hey, yo, what?
Yo, a moment. So, he's done that. And I'm looking at him and I go, scars tell a story. I think it'd be kind of cool to have a matching one. And I'm going to get Katra's attention as loud as I can. And
You're, screaming,
kind of. Well, in the sense of, like, I'm gonna almost, I'm gonna try again.
Smack, like, come on, get the signal.
And then simultaneously, like, because Eleanor has a bit of a hunch, maybe Adora does too, that Katra might see Adora for a second.
Because you will see, as this is happening, because Horde Prime is choosing not to, like, stop you or do anything, he has, like, triggered something, his chest is opening up, and you watch his robes are, like, almost like a reverse, it's not like true time reversal, but the fabric is, like, bubbling back up to, like, form back over him before Katra sees this, like, weak point or something you could call it. It's not a weak point, but that, like, you don't want to show off this, like, gaping singularity wound inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing this. Go ahead, give me one last constitution check.
Because here's the thing. Here's what Adora's thinking. She now knows the weakness of his.
I should point out, it is, yes, a weakness, but it is also a great source of power for him right now. He's got some stuff going on.
I know. But that's knowledge Katra doesn't have. And it's almost like she's trying to give this knowledge to Katra to be like, I want to know, if somehow I'm, like, in here dream again, I want to know what your true intentions are, right? So, I want to give her this knowledge.
Go ahead. Come roll the dice.
Okay, and then I'll describe if it happens or not. If it doesn't, then it's just a fail, right? That's a natural 20!
That is a natural 20 on the die.
I'm good. Victory lap.
That's really cool.
Okay.
In this moment, Horde Prime
I'll describe what I do.
Like, touches again these invisible panels. Maybe it's in his hand or is it on his chest. Because it is closing. Like, you realize Katra, even for how insanely perceptive she can be, won't see it in time, right? Like, he's not dumb, right? He knows when his time stop runs out, when things happen. He, like, is basically buttoning back up his shirt. But you, with all the pure willpower for it, just note it. And Katra immediately, boom, hair up, that cat, like, she has felt something on her side.
And she knows this.
Because she knows it's not, I will say, she would know it's not Horde Prime, this weird cyborg hand, like, click, 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 click.
Big
she
human, but a human
whips around
on her head.
as Horde Prime is standing there. Are you ready for the journey? And you see he's talking to both you and Katra. Because Katra's looking around like she can't see you, but knows something has just been felt, knows something has just happened. Something has happened. But as Katra is wide-eyed, like this immediate, like, this is very unnatural, and I don't like that weird way he just talked to me, but that wasn't his hand. As that happens,
nope.
You feel the dream cut. The nat 20, because, and here's where you'll know why, that the nat 20 was awesome, but you are back in the formless space above Dremor. You see Eternia in the distance, and you hear, "Did you enjoy the show?" And look and see Pitch standing there as Pitch, his connection back, he basically brought you along for the ride via, if you understand the mechanics of the dream spell, it's something a little bit similar to that of
essentially let me scry via.
He was allowing you to watch, and that's why it was crazy cool. You have set up great groundwork there, but even on a nat 20, it wasn't going to give you time, because the second you made any significant change, Pitch was like, whoa. As Pitch allows you this moment of just...
he let you snort?
He let you snort, right? I mean... Well, like, what are you going to do? And you see Pitch goes, "I'm quite excited for another piece on the board, don't you say?"
Why?
Well, because it will be easier to accomplish my goals. And you see he kind of looks down at Dremor. Again, this very odd, like, god-like standing on nothingness, looking at a world below him. If there's a bit more chaos to be dealt with. Oh, by the way, and you see he thinks, go ahead and thank that prophet for me next time you see him. He's about to do wonders for us. Not by choice, of course, but, hey, I'm my own boss again.
You weren't your own boss before.
Have a nice dream. As he whispers these dark words, you wake in cold sweat. It's middle of the night. Like, you are drenched in sweat.
I immediately reach forward for a muscle memory of where normally someone else would be sleeping with me.
No one's there. And it's that, as we cut away, Valka, the last dream of the night. And I apologize. This is we are entering kind of the next big arc of our campaign. This was going to be a lot of dreams. So I thank you all for your patience with jumping around. And also helps because then I can give Lonnie hers more fully. Like, otherwise, I was planning, like, we're just going to have a lot of dreams this session. As you are all slowly having these dreams, Valka, what's really fun, and I kind of like that we do end with you, is you are not going to have a dream. Rather, unlike a lot of people, especially like Adora, where it's hard to interact. For Gingie, it's moving through dreams and memories, and for Dax, of that, like, I'm kind of talking to someone, but it's still a dream. I'm not actually here. Valka, you feel your spirit summoned. I will say, mechanically, you got a long rest just by getting your grace back. Yeah. So it is that, like, technically you actually don't need the 8 hours. But in this moment of, you feel that grace is giving you that, like, hey, we got you. You don't need to sleep. You've got stuff to do. Because in your ears, you hear a slight ringing, high-pitched, staticky, that, like, when you have, like, tinnitus and, like, something in your ears kind of burns, you are hearing a summoning bell that very few creatures in existence can hear.
Mechanically speaking, in terms of answering the summoning, do I have to physically go somewhere, or is there a way to like send some consciousness, astral project, like answer it without physically having to leave?
Whenever I will give you this, when your memories in your mind occurred, it's a summons. Whenever this would happen, when you were on the battlefield looking for warriors, well, you would just take your Pegasus steed and ride off. Mm-hmm. You don't have a Pegasus steed. Mm-hmm. But as you're kind of like sitting up in this tent, you hear outside, Swiftwind is a bit scamperish out there for some reason. You might need to co-op Adora. So you look over, Adora in her cot is like, like snorting at something, and then immediately going, like as if she's scared at the snort. And so you're like, did she just scare herself with her own snort? We'll work out in the morning. But there's a Pegasus outside.
Can I talk to Swiftwind?
You go out, you see Swiftwind, because you never were able to talk to your Pegasus steed. It was always that kind of like mental. But Pegasus, but Swiftwind looks at you the second you exit the tent, and
Are
you get the
feeling it too then?
And gives that big old like, because Swiftwind can talk, right? But in this moment, it's more that like, the doy, like you don't hear the weird high pitched squealing in the air.
All right. One second. I'm gonna. Is Stoic awake?
Stoic is, he can be a very deep sleeper or a very light sleeper. Mm-hmm.
It's that I would like to fully like wake him up so somebody knows where I've gone.
Yeah, just roll. Stoic is a bit of a deep sleep, takes a second, but eventually, you see immediately grab
It's fine. Part of the whole grace thing, I'm feeling the summons again. I have to go, but I didn't want to leave without someone knowing.
You see, he like flops back on the couch. He's back when we were dating. No, you're good.
All over again.
I love you.
I love you too. And I'll give him a goodbye kiss.
And you see, he is, although laying back down, sleep is gone from his eyes. He's, well, like back in the day when you first kind of met him on battlefields, he stays up and waits for you to get back. Stoic knows you're gone. We'll wait up for you. I will let you know mechanically, he's not getting a long rest tonight, but he didn't take any points. Again, for some reason, I couldn't get my bad guys to attack him.
Mm-hmm. So I'll hop on Swiftwind and say, I hope you know where you're going, because
Swiftwind now starts talking in that, like stage whispery, kind of like, yeah, I do too, because this is very new for Swiftwind. As you start to canter, Swiftwind just kind of chooses space, like a plane on a runway, eventually, boom, 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 beating the wings, running. as you take off into the sky, Swiftwind, now talking a little more openly, again, not in the tense, like, not gonna wake anyone up. Okay, like, just so you know, this is a one-time deal, I hope. Like, Adora, she and I, we are, like, best. I'm, like, her steed, right? I'm not, like, that kind of Pegasus where I don't just, like, go...
Swiftwind. I don't look at this as me taking you as a steed. I look at this as both of us received a summons and we're just...
Oh, I know. But, like, you just gotta know, I normally don't do it. I'm not that kind of horse, right? I like to, like, get to know my mounts and riders. Like, it's a bond, you know? Like, I mean, and there are Pegasi who are cool with, like, multiple riders, but, like, I'm a very, like, you find a right, you find you. It's a one-on-one relationship. Holy sh... And you see Swiftwind swears in horse as before you a rift in celestial energy opens up, as Swiftwind is now cantering along what we know as the Bifrost. That very cool. Now, this is not like that Marvel Bifrost. This is not a very tangible, like, oh, this is a road of a lot of multicolor LED lights. But you are...
It's like walking on the Aurora Borealis.
Walking through almost what Bart saw, like what Dax was seeing. Swiftwind is finding purchase in worlds. He is finding purchase in stars, nebulae, sun, planets, moons, ice, as he is cantering and running through this expanse, what you know as the... What the Nordic would call the world... Ixodale, the world tree, right? This is the bark, right? The cosmos bark of the world tree that Swiftwind's now running on. And so it's like, oh my gosh, Adora's never gonna believe this, as he is just, like, starting to enjoy himself.
If there was one thing I missed, it was this.
Cantering through, seeing the worlds pass, and it's getting so familiar. Again, kind of like when you drive home after a long visit away, and you're like, there's my exit, there's the street I turn on. These familiar sights and celestial energies, as you feel, for the first time in so long, your aura is burning bright. Different than before. You know this is not your celestial form as before. Because before you were a, well, like most Valkyrie, they are attackers, or they're not defenders, right? You know, the Summon Celestial spell, or when you gained back, you have become more of yourself, more of what you naturally kind of were over a lot of these years. Mm-hmm. But as Swiftwind is approaching, he's like, that's a pretty big spot. Am I supposed to slow down? Is this like a gate check? I didn't bring my car. Ah! As he screams again, you crash through this odd veil of the world tree, canopy breaking. The canopy is made of starlight and mist. And you find yourself on a holy celestial plane that you have not been to in, well, honestly, decades. Clopping your way into this layer of heaven. It's hard to put words to a celestial plane. What you know is this is the fourth layer of heaven. Very much, again, it very much parallels hell, but the fourth layer of heaven is what the Vikings in Nordic call Valhalla. There are impressive homes, log houses built with draconic symbols, god-like effigies on top of these buildings. There are wars in the distance of powerful warriors brought here by the Valkyrie to wage war and feast in Odin's halls. Something you would know is this is also the plane or realm where the Asgardians live. Again, Valhalla, instead of it being like this weird offshoot, it is a little more combined, what we know in Dremore of. These are the halls of Odin. Odin himself and the Asgardians live here. But there has been a change in the past couple decades as the warriors wage war. There is battle and preparation for Ragnarok in the distance. You don't see the gods. And when I say see, you don't feel. Again, a celestial presence in their realm is kind of like having the heat turned on in your own home. You are in your home, you know that, but there is something that has not been turned on. There's something that is still missing with the Asgardian presence, these god presences. Similarly, you are not seeing any Valkyrie right now. It is very empty of Valkyrie. A lot of warriors, a lot of Vikings, who, as you pass, are immediately onto one knee, giving salute. And you don't think it's because they recognize you. It is that, like, this is a Valkyrie, so it's not like you are a oddity to them right now. It's not like, whoa, they're back. But they are very empty right now. As you ride, eventually riding through, eventually off in the distance, you see the palace. The grand-scaping architecture rising. This is the city of the Valkyrie, where you train and live, and before you, as the Bifrost, that like celestial tunnel closes behind you before you even kind of realize, Swiftwind easily makes time. You're getting to the palace gates, flying over now, and inside the palace, you are noticing the Valkyrie are armed for war. They are not in any way preparing to find soldiers on battlefields. They are not in any mode of rest or relaxation. Every single one is gathered into their garrison, platoon, legion in rows and are just stock still waiting. Pure attention. Many of them watch you fly over, preparing. You see a courtyard, but as these legions of warrior women watch, they do not speak, they do not move. Each of them in their mounts stay at attention. As you land, 2 walk forward. Valka, you see Hrist and Sigrifa approach. These are 2 powerful generals of the Valkyrie. And when I say general amongst the 4th rank of angel, because Valkyries are of the 4th rank above principalities, archangels, and angels, but there are technically higher ranked angels even above you guys. Sigrifa and Hrist both approach, and you see these women simply nod at you. You see Hrist takes the bridle of Swiftwind, and Swiftwind's like, okay, and he starts explaining to Hrist, you seem like a wonderful warrior, but I already have a warrior princess at home. Like, it's kind of a one-on-one thing. I was just helping get a friend here. I'm not really interested in another. Oh, you're leading me away. And she's leading Swiftwind, not in a bad. You think like over to the stables just to like brush him down, clean him up, like all good things. Like you've never. I mean, whenever you were here in the past, it's not like they're gonna steal Swiftwind. Yeah. Like again, there's always that like even though you've been gone, you're still Valkyrie. Mm-hmm. Sigrifa then wordlessly escorts you into the palace. You're remembering, you had a room here centuries ago. You had purchased some place. You see the halls where you have feasted, where you received missions, where you were, in a word, again, thinking back, angels don't have much concept of birth of themselves, again, because they were created by Zepham. Mm-hmm. But you still have those, like, almost memories of, like, this is where I was spawned, if that's a way to say of, like, my consciousness formed here, where I rose through the ranks, and you're getting a lot of these memories back of, I was higher, like, Sigrifa, that's kind of like what I was, like, you were another, like, pretty high up general, you were a solid Valkyrie, you knew which warriors to find, you were solid at, like, commanding inspiration in others, you were a terrifying warrior just for the forces of heaven, and at the end of the hall, you see the war room. As you approach, the doors open in a resounding boom. And walking in, Sigrifa walks all the way up to the entrance and just stops without a word as you continue onward like a current pulls in and see sitting before you in front of celestial forms and bodies in this weird like battle map of the heavenly planes and Dromore and hell. But again, hard for a mortal eye to comprehend because it is multiple layers of multiple layers. It's like it would give anyone with astigmatism a stroke because there are so many images almost layered on themselves. Because again, planes are not like neat stacked dishes. They are all technically in the same place but at different frequency and motion and time. Kind of what we think of when we talk about a multiverse, right? Of like, but there's a different variation. What if one could... a lot of science and magic. Sitting before this map is the leader of the Valkyrie, the highest of your order, Azrael, the angel of death. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, this is both a title and to use the word, stat block. Mm-hmm. Azrael is brought out when it's time to kill. This is the same Valkyrie when Moses went to Ramses and warned him of the 10th and final plague. Azrael, this is the same woman, this is the angel of death who took all the firstborn. You remember seeing Azrael ride out on her mount, this ebony black Pegasi with her sword at her side, to kill the firstborn infants, basically. It was a wild day, but like that was heaven's orders. This was the decree. And you see this woman, powerful, you have heard her voice in the past, simply look up from this hieroglyphic, intricate map of the planes of good and evil, look up and say, "Welcome home, little sister."
Is there like some salute that Valkyries use that I would remember for like
it's a
the
very
commander of the armies?
like that kind of fist to chest,
so
like a very simple like because it's that
greeter with that.
she offers it back, and you realize it's almost your memory of like lower rank to higher rank would always do it first, right? Higher ranks only give a salute first if it's like a really like gestural thing. It's always like me first. Azrael now smiles. Sit. You see, as she points her hand, she materializes a chair for you, kind of out of the magic of the plane. It's not as nice of a throne as hers, but it's still pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. I'll come sit.
We are happy to see you return to us. What can we do for you?
I failed a summons. Was that just general? Were you calling me back? And I noticed the gods are missing. What's happened here while I've been gone?
She pulls out her dragon fang, which you know it is adorned with like other celestial gems as mark of her station. Kind of swings it. It was a general summons, but you're the only one on the mortal plane that could probably hear it right now.
Right, makes sense.
Brynhilda, it has been a long time since we've seen you. And you feel, whoa, that was my name. Because remember, so long ago, when Stoic first met you, it was that, like, Valkyrie, and it was that, like, I'm not giving my name to you, then I'll call you Valka, the Valkyrie, right? It was almost like this is a quick name I can give you. Your true name was always Brynhilda, and so it's that odd, but I will say, let alone you're a defender, a protector, Asmar now, it's both your name and not anymore. It's weird to think like a part of you that is so true. It's almost what Gingie with the Muffin Man seeing the old form of Uriel of this is equally as real to you, the Brynhilda, but you are also now Valka. So hearing this, I think there's a moment, and you know Azrael sees that in your eyes, just you've been away for quite some time, and well, we really need to talk.
I am listening.
We are pleased to see you with your grace back, as all were worried that Uriel might not have protected it in time. The agents of darkness sought your grace with much fervor.
It was almost lost. Came right down to the wire there.
Oh, it was batshit insane.
It was terrifying.
We were watching. I was sitting there, and when your friend became the She-Ra and dunked you into the ground, I was cheering. Honestly, that was insane. You gotta tell her, that was amazing. I loved it.
I
loved it, honestly. And I'm not just saying it, that was pretty badass.
Valka has this random memory now as Azrael's telling her to go say Adora that was like cool. Didn't Azrael want me to kill Adora at one point?
Yes. You are having that immediate, like, your voice was in my head. And you see, Azrael's just kind of giggling like, hey, right, you love to just see a demon get banished off the earth. It's just pleasurable at that point. I'm not even trying to be, like, crude. And as you're thinking, she, again, goes, speak, your mind.
Just, didn't you want me to kill her?
Aye. You see her tone shifts. Adora is a very interesting champion of the mortal plane right now. We're not sure where her allegiance lies, and I will say it was an order given to me from a bit higher up that I did agree with at the time. The fragments of the Sword of Power, well, in my opinion, if she was dead, no one could truly wield the power. At most, we were hoping that the woman who claims to be a dragon would destroy herself, try to open the first seal, and, well, with Adora gone, we would have prevented the apocalypse for nigh another millennia. Ragnarok stalled indefinitely until another firstborn maybe appeared, and, well, that's only if Sorathiel chose to sire another one.
So where do we stand? I thought most of the hosts of heaven were trying to hasten the apocalypse.
Aye, you see, Azrael gets a huge tone shift. This has all been a lot of, you know, when you meet up with an old friend,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of that, like, wow, we're hitting so many notes, and then it's like, right, we're here for a funeral.
Yeah.
Almost of like, there is something bigger. Azrael completely. Brynhildr, the hosts of heaven stand behind Michael and the Seraphim. We are charged and asked to make sure that we are in the lead for Ragnarok. Ragnarok is inevitable. The Norn have seen it. Zephyr and Michael decreed it from the beginning of the world. There must needs be a purge, a destruction. And, as Michael is decreeing, we need to make sure that we are ready and at the front of the tide. When the seals open, we need to be the ones immediately taking out their heavy hitters. But if we can keep up the... And you see, she doesn't like this word, but it's as if she's about to use a word that someone else gave her.
Mm-hmm.
If we are able to dam up the portions of the seals that we can, and in which case we can mitigate loss of life. And mitigate has just such a nasty little ring to it that you're like, ooh, she didn't want to say that. That's someone higher up than her said the word mitigate. Because, I mean, Azrael, the Angel of Death is such a title, is such a aspect to hold.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, again, you cannot truly appreciate death until you appreciate life.
Yeah.
She gets it, right? I mean, she did not enjoy the order from the High Seraphim of go kill every firstborn in Egypt, if not the blood, the lamb blood above the doorframe. Like, what a wild order to have to carry out. But she is a soldier at the end of the day. That is the purpose of her creation. But you see in this word, as she says this, mitigate loss of life. We are in a good state. To fill you in, you're, well, the chosen prophet, Moses, first of his name, has in fact done a tremendous service in slaying the last two calamities upon the earth. Well, nay, the last two on the earth. There is still the sixth calamity, but he's retreated for the time being back into the openings of hell. And Michael has asked us not to pursue him further. And you realize, I think in this moment, oh yeah, that's why the legions are all here. They have been fighting the war you guys don't see. Mm-hmm. Hell did break. The seals have been broken. Your sisters have been, for the last couple months, where you guys have been having your big battles, huge battles across the cosmos to demons. Again, how many realms, realities, worlds, and universes have they been having to kill off these high demons? You guys have just had the problem of the big ones are here. Mm-hmm. And you see Azrael goes, right, when Moses killed the final two of fire and flood, it was really down to Actius, the leader, the tornado calamity. But, and you see at this point, she has a moment of not hesitation, but realization she's about to share maybe something too much. And I'm going to make a roll to see if she does. That's a 4. She kind of brings in, but we are ready as the 4th and 5th seals are ready to break. The 4th seal will break. Moses, the prophet, of course, is on heaven's side, and will be breaking his seal hopefully within the week. And you see she smiles. This is, of course, to prepare you, and this is where I will say, both as Megan and as Valka, you know what the next seals entail, because the calamities have been a portion of the 3rd seals, right? The 1st seal released both demons and devils, and what we know as crosser demons, like their bosses, like the supervisors.
And then came the sins and then the calamities.
The sins were a part of the second seal, and the calamities a part of the third. When the fourth and fifth seals break, a lot's gonna go down. Because the fifth seal, yep. So much. First of all, there are the senses. Demons specifically born to beguile senses of, touch, taste, sight, smell, hearing, right? Each of them delight in tricking mortals. And that, again, how many times have you been ruined because you misread something or misheard something, but on a much deeper necrotic scale? They would release then, and here's the big ones, the elements. Now, the elements have names. The elements are they are what we would call the cherubim. How heaven has the cherubim, these with their flaming swords, the big protectors, like second only to seraphim themselves. The elements are Samael, Azazel, Azrael. Ironically enough, it is named after a demon named Azrael. No relation.
I swear there was like a Samuel or someone too in heaven.
Exactly, right. Well, devils love being ironic and doing stuff. And Mahazael of water, fire, wind, and earth. They are the biggest hitters. Mm-hmm. That's not all. The breaking of the fifth seal would release the Furies, Alecto, Megara, and Sisyphon.
I thought the last one was Tisiphone.
Tisiphone. I misread that. Tisiphone.
Sorry, that's just my Greek.
Alecto, Megara, and Tisiphone, the Furies.
Shoot, dang.
Who are the basically shock trooper strike force for Lucifer himself. Mm-hmm. And it would release the chief of the devils, Lucifer's right and left hand, the Behemoth and the Leviathan.
Hang on. So with only 2 seals, we'd be getting the senses, the devil, the elements, the right and left hand of Lucifer, and the Furies.
Here's what I'm going to give you. Again, I normally don't give you guys a lot of like D&D mechanics, because this is quite literally your memory. You have known these things since the creation of the world. I am sending the list in the chat with their associative challenge rating attached.
Thank you.
I've just sent the senses, the elements, the Furies, and each of them have their challenge rating attached. The chief of the Behemoth and Leviathan are each a challenge rating 20. And again, the Leviathan, this is not the Leviathan that currently is bound to Jonah on the mortal plane. This kind of like whale. It's our Leviathan, the whale on Earth, is named after this demon.
Hate that.
Right? This is Lucifer's right and left hand. These devils that were technically once angels at the beginning of the world, but now are just forces. The only one, and because and here's what's odd about all this. That's the fourth and fifth seal. The only thing that isn't then released is Lucifer.
So then what about like all the other seals in between these and the last one?
Here's what you know. What's unspoken, but again, I'll kind of give this. The sixth seal is so impossible because the sixth seal is not an item, it is a person. Mm-hmm. The sixth seal is the first murderer, the traitor of heaven, Cain. Cain, his mark is the sixth seal of heaven. He is prophesied to die to break that seal, but no one has seen Cain in Millennium. He very quickly got off the map.
Yeah.
For reasons no one really ever understood. And that's simply from what heaven can glean from hell. It's not like Cain's secretly still in league with hell, sending him messenger hell pigeons, right? These little pigeons with devil horns ever so often. Cain truly did disappear. But the reason being is because once the first through fifth seals are broken, how it was supposed to go down is whatever prophet at the time would break the fifth seal, the staff of the prophets, and it would seal away Eden. The staff of the prophets is carved out of that same tree that is both in Eden and the mortal plane, what we know is the tree of life, and on the earth the tree of good and evil. It is that connective rod, because how it was supposed to go down is when the fifth seal is broken, when the staff breaks, Eden is basically kind of locked out for a while, but it should be because everyone's in there, all the good people. Like, this time was supposed to be the prophet and the rest of the people rounding up, think Noah and the ark, think a lot of prophets leading them out of Jerusalem. It was supposed to be a time of, hey guys, yeah, the seals are breaking, there's a lot of evil, so let's protect, let's go to Eden, this good place. You guys very specifically know Eden is a wasteland. Pitch destroyed that, allowed the seal to break whole and truly inside of Eden, and it is now fire and brimstone and a hellmouth. Which, now when it breaks, is just going to be like, okay, the demons will find another way out, right? It's so odd to be like, this demi-plane that could have been really helpful is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Azrael knows, again, these are a lot of unspoken in these quick, like, my memories are all coming back to me in seconds.
Yeah.
This is what you kind of know Azrael explaining of, because at that point, once the fifth seal breaks, it's then Cain is brought forward. This is supposed to be his atonement, right? His final punishment of your death will be the sixth seal, because the last seal is all the seraphim, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Sarathiel, Zadkiel, Raphael, and Ananiel all get together, each of them holding part of the seventh seal, being the seven seraphim, and with one release Lucifer from his cage that they first bound him in, and so begins the war, right? And so it's odd that, like, Azrael is kind of sharing this, like, yep, we're getting ready, the fifth seal is going to break in a week. According to Ragnarok, to what you know as the Armageddon, in Christian mythos, this is supposed to be like and the Valkyries should be protecting Eden, and the other angels are on the front line. We should be ready for again, in a perfect world, the plan was going to be the seals should be breaking kind of one after another. Mm-hmm. We should have been really ready at this point, because it should have been first Adora's sword, then we've got the Book of Peace, then we've got the Dragon Scroll, then we've got Merlin's Amulet, then the Staff of the Prophets. Cain is brought forward, the seven seraphim release Lucifer, and they have a war. It was never supposed to be this just perversion of champions holding these seals and hiding and running, using Enochian amulets to hide from both hell and heaven. This is nuts. And you see the slightest twitch in Azrael's eye. She is so unokay with how this is going down, because this was people should be safe right now. The Valkyries should have basically already done their jobs, and now it's like, don't worry, we're just gonna open the fifth seal and just see what happens, right? Like, let's open the fifth seal and hope we can find Cain soon, because if we don't, all of those guys are coming out. And so there is a lot of tension. This is why Azrael's tone shifted. She is so not okay right now. The angel of death is not okay with the amount of death about to erupt into the world. You say damn, she's like, damnation in its finest.
There was supposed to be a plan, and this was not it.
You see, Azrael's about to do something you've never seen, and that is she's about to speak her mind about her superiors. Azrael sits there and goes, right, there was a plan, but that was before the god of creation and light and love decided to kill himself.
Is this how we learn? I don't think our party...
I don't think you guys yet know.
God's dead?
God's dead. Azrael explains, Zephim, in his infinite wisdom, decided he did not like how the plan was going, and allowed his son, Gabriel, to cut him from our existence, and there is no more God of creation. There's no more Lord. Michael's in charge. He being the firstborn, he being the greatest. We are following his plan.
And Michael's plan is to pretend that nothing's gone wrong and...
Michael's plan is to fuck us all! And you see Azrael, in her eyes, suddenly wings shoot out, fire erupts out of her. She's one of the few angels that truly one could say has demonic powers to her, even though she is an agent of heaven. Azrael is enraged, but does immediately bring herself back in. Michael's plan is to continue with Armageddon. As once Lucifer falls by his hand, the world will be made new. And I would like you, this is what's wild. this is going to be the first time I think we've ever, in our campaigns, you're about to roll me an insight check in the box of doom.
Oh.
You are about to try to insight something huge that you as Megan may already be thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
But there truly is something huge. I will let you know, what is your natural insight right now?
2.
Dang.
I have bad
You're
wisdom.
gonna need a 16 or higher.
Can I roll with advantage? Because, like...
Unfortunately, it's not with advantage yet, because it's still some big stuff. Here we go. In the box of doom, if you get 16 or higher, you'll get something huge. That could change the campaign forever.
Are you gonna put him down?
Yep. He's level 1, sure.
Is that a 19?
That's a 19 on the die.
21!
21! My gosh. Megan, you've never rolled that well before in your life, and you'll love to see it.
Uh-huh.
On a 19, your insight... There's so much wrong right now.
Mm-hmm.
You, again, we have been talking about this plan, all of you. This is not how Armageddon should be. Ragnarok, again, yes, apocalypses are messy, gay. Any mythos, what we even know, it's not all sunshine and roses. But this is so messed. There are way too many players on the board, and what I think is this is almost a combination of what Valka's learning, what Adora's learning, what Gingie's learning, and all accumulating with what Dax, Tice, you said this literally right in the beginning of your dream. You are meeting so many deific characters, and it's what's my place on, what's going on. There's too many deific forces at play. There's too much going on, both quite literally in heaven and in hell, and Tice, your patron, from Uriel, from Adora, seeing Lotur, Galaxar Prime, from this with Michael's plan. You're playing chess with 8 other people who each have queens and bishops and knights and rooks.
But all on the same chessboard.
But all on the same chessboard. That's not chess at that point. That is chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you will hearken back to Gabriel's message. Again, the messenger at the very beginning of this campaign. The world is slated for destruction.
Mm-hmm.
There is too much chaos right now. With this chaos, it can only end in the destruction of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You are dealing with, if we think logically, what happens if we can take care of Michael and Lucifer? Well, there's still the Norse gods who are warring Ragnarok. Again, they're not here. You shudder to think what the Asgardians are preparing. Lotur Galaxar Prime, who can time stop on a whim to talk to someone in a dream, is coming to lay waste to this world, let alone the galaxy? The expansive universe? We are talking... Dax has a patron trapped inside a singularity of other cosmic entities in there. Are they just going to fade quietly into the night? No, they've got something in store for Dax and themselves. Even if one player is off the board, there are 7 others. I think in this moment, your insight is into Michael. Because as Azrael is saying, she's mad about this, but you're seeing Michael is so desperate for Armageddon because if everyone's dead, it's not messy.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think that's a good thing, obviously, but in this moment of if there's enough, like, if you shut enough windows, quiet eventually returns to a house.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking of all these things, there's a lot here. It's that, well, so are we supposed to take out everyone else? Or what do we stay the course? What do we do? It's in this insight, this game-altering insight of this world is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
This reality, this universe, with all its complex layers, is not stable.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a reality of this world. Imagine a reality of this world without the gods in disarray, without these champions, where Armageddon is happening in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
You've got angels helping lead promised people to Eden, and not even just them, of their own. The Nordic pantheon, they are gathering their warriors in Valhalla. The Egyptians are readying the gates of Duat. And not even them, the peoples of their lands, kings and lords are aware of these things. They're helping each other. There is almost what we could call peace on earth, even though it would be war.
Mm-hmm.
That reality could exist, because that's what the plan should have been.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sick, chaotic world in a deeper reality that is just, it was never meant to win, because there's just too much. Azrael looks at you as you're having this insight. You think she has thought the same thing. And she's kind of not saying anything. She's opening it up to you for your thoughts now.
My friends in the mortal world, the goal for them has been to stop the apocalypse. But it seems no matter how many players we meet on the board, 5 more come out of the wings. I don't think there's ever a point at which we could stop every force trying to destroy this world. What? Do we find a new Eden?
You see, she gives that really wry chuckle as well. You see, she kind of shrugs. Right. The Dragon Warriors killed the avatar of Satan. But he's just back down in hell, reforming. We're sending out, there's Michael's chosen vessel is stopping the warlords of the barbaric archipelagos, as you know. But there's still bad Vikings out there. The Egyptians seek Michael's head. The Asgardians seek Ragnarok in its purest. The Aztecs, well, no one knows where the Aztecs are, do we? Those Incan gods, hell, I would give my eye to know where they went. As you see Azrael, that kind of wry, very Nordic expression. But of course, Dax
Well, Valka very much struggles because Adora literally gave her eye for.
Adora did give her eye,
so it's
and
like...
Dax is sitting there sneezing in his sleep because Dax is like at this singularity with meeting Inti, and so it's like you see Azrael just.
If you were in Michael's shoes, what orders would you give?
I would tell everyone to do a little bit what you did, Brunhilde. Give up your grace. Find a life on the mortal plane. And just enjoy it till it's over. You see, Azrael stomps. There's no good left. I was at the council in the beginning. Because the Seraphim were first, and a leader of each plane of heaven was created. Azrael being the first Valkyrie, before the rest of you were formed. I didn't believe it when Zephon and the other elder gods told us they knew. It was always going to end messy. And I fought. I'm a good soldier. I go out, I follow their instructions, and you see at this point she gestures to this map of demons and angels battling across cosmos. And even if we take this out, some mortal with their technologies perverts the galaxy, seeking Adam's lions to destroy us all. If not this, Wrath himself, forming a draconic body, marches across China while their prince kills. But it's not even their prince. It's a changeling. A man supposed to be chosen. His great-great-great-grandfather forming this dynasty, and he squanders it away, but it was never even him. So what are we going to do? Oh, you'll meet him in the morning, and he's arriving. He's on his way. Do you know the story of Enoch?
The city taken up to heaven?
I think both your actual knowledge and this... And you see she stops. Gives a smile. Heaven's a pretty broad term, if I do say so myself. Heaven is where you want it to be. Oh, we've watched you, Brunhilde. You made heaven on earth with that husband, and it broke our hearts. If you had just waited like 2 more days, you would have seen he was okay, and never mind. Enoch, he was the second prophet. Or the second Nephilim prophet. I think he saw better than most that this world is not healthy. Well, I mean, the Shira at the time, Mara, she worked heavily with Enoch. And both of them, they went to Eternia first, right? But Enoch didn't stop there. I just have to wonder if any of us had the strength to go with him. But the prophet, Nephilim, well, they make their decisions, and though they are servants of heaven, we can't stop them. Look at that Moses. He's a piece of work, but maybe Enoch was right. But none of us will ever know how he did it.
How he did what?
Was taken up. And I think you stop. There's no Zion in any of the planes of heaven.
And she said they went to Eternia and then he didn't stop. So, like, what did he find that's past Eternia?
What did he find? But no one really knows because they're gone. Adora knows that the first ones have been gone for a long, long time. You see, but she goes, Mara made her choice, thankfully. That weird, creepy tech kept Adora safe, otherwise we'd have lost Shira forever too. But I think they're okay. You could hope that those people are out there, whatever's beyond space and time, beyond war and death. Brunhilde, I have been charged by Michael as the leader of heaven to place you under arrest. You are to stay here in this plane of existence for as long as seen fit until you are an allied servant and legal consort of heaven once more. You see, she is rattling off this list like a Miranda rights. She's not moving, she's not looking at you. Should you in any way seek to attempt to break these vows, you will be under strictest oath of breaking, and you will be stripped of grace and thrust down to hell as the devil. Do you understand?
Can I do an insight to make sure that I understand?
Please do.
Watch me roll terribly this time.
It's a 1, yeah, right.
What are they gonna do?
That's
Damn
not
me!
bad. That's a 12.
What are you gonna do, damn it? Boom! On a 12. Brunhilde will always be a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
The Valkyrie, a high general of the fourth
but that
plane.
was the name she used when she said all this.
Brunhilde's the name she used, and in quite literal fashion, there is no angel named Brunhilde.
Mm-hmm.
The creature Valka was not created by Zephim, is not a member of heaven or hell. Mm-hmm. If anything, you are a creature of Shira.
Yeah, that quite literally made new.
You are you have been made new.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, Azrael's not making any attempt to take you, bind you. She's just stating this. As she looks up.
And just stand up, Slayer.
We will not meet again in good circumstance.
I'm glad I saw you again today.
Keep the amulet on you. Hold tight to that stoic of yours. I
Never letting them go again.
As I think you standing up, because you are now starting to hear alarm bells sounding.
Yeah, I am going to try and, like... Do I think that Swiftwind has been, like, secured to anything in the stable, or is, like, free to fly around?
As you're, like, already moving out of the room,
like, leave.
Swiftwind has rushed in. Valka, I think we gotta go! The other Pegasus were saying, whoa, okay, yeah, I was hearing something the weird Pegasus was saying right now. Yeah! And he started galloping off. Alarm bell sounding on the last thing, turning your head. Azrael is standing up, very slowly drawing the Blade of Death. Dragon Fang, the ultimate blade of a Valkyrie. She is summoning her Pegasus to her side as alarm bells. You break out of heaven, but you know your sisters.
I give her that, like, one last salute over my shoulder, but very much I'm like, we're still running.
Every Valkyrie, because you see, they are rallying. It is clear to point out they were already at attention when you arrived. None of them are moving fast, while all technically moving, because none would ever risk damnation. Every single one is very slowly buckling, drawing a blade, checking the sky, as Swiftwind's like, and just like saying over again as he thunders out, eventually reaching the edge of the fourth plane, edge of Valhalla. Boom! You hit the wonderful Bifrost Road again. What Bart has seen and Dax now knows, that swirling cosmic space that angels travel. Boom, 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 boom. Swiftwind's like, yeah, right, it was like really uncanny valley because all these other Pegasus were like talking in and being like, are you ready to join assimilate? I'm like, bitch, fuck that, I ain't staying here. And I ain't a part of it. And they're like, she will be captured soon enough. And I'm like, no, thank you. So like, is everything good? Because like, I feel like we're about to die, but like they weren't chasing us.
You've been around long enough to pick up on angels sort of have to follow orders, yes?
Oh yeah.
My sisters are saner than
Oh,
most,
you.
so
Okay.
they don't have much heart in the chase, but they are under orders to capture me.
You hear somewhere through the cosmos that old Viking horn bellows, marking a traitor by all technicality. But again, by all technicality, you're not even a traitor. You were never a part of the club anymore. You gave that up when you gave up your grace. All of you awaken. Boom, boom, boom. Swiftwind thunders down the path. All of you are awakening. We all group back together as everyone's got a lot to talk about, I assume.
I do want to very genuinely thank Swiftwind for taking me.
You think so? You see Swiftwind, who's like panting his hose off, like, you got it.
Don't worry, we won't do that again.
I'm never doing that again. Oh, I think I saw like time and space stretch out. I think I'm one with everything in the universe is one with me. Oh, that was just disgusting to look at. As the Bifrost isn't, again, I mean, Dax knows that you have to make a con save. It's a lot to view. All of you awaken. It is early morning. As Adora, you tried to get some sleep after the cold sweat, never really got back. Gingie rolling out of this like cute little muffin bed. I should point out, Bart has been sleeping on top of you the whole night, just going warm, 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 like in his own little spider language. All of you awaken to Valka, Thunderfall, and all of you have dreams that we can now all talk about. Kind of that role play between each other if you'd like to.
Sorry for borrowing your mount.
That's fine. That's good. Is he alive?
No.
That's all I ask.
It's a low bar.
Well, let's just say someone perceived me in my dream, and I don't think it was completely a dream. So I'm a little... Gingie, what do you got to cheer us up, bud?
Scones.
Scones. I love Gingie, like, right, I've got scones.
Thank you, Gingie.
Like, smash cut, everyone nibbling on these, like, really good scones, very buttery, flaky, sitting around a fireplace. We can start role-playing out.
Who found you in a dream?
Right. Pull it pointing, and you see that she's it's almost like she's seen a ghost that she hated and loved at the same time.
I love it.
And so she's like, so here's the deal. Back on Etheria, there's a dude trying to take over named Hordak, right? So I'm gonna try and, like, essentially... I can't say the word because it doesn't exist in this world, but you know, like, bucket list history, Hordak was trying to take over Etheria, right? Someone I knew, Katra, teamed up with him. Then, last time I knew, they were using all the stones for each of the princesses on Etheria to try... Man, it's been so long. And you see she starts rubbing her eyes and going like, to do more damage, and it didn't work out, right? And I shattered the sword, and then it plunged us all here, right? So apparently he's not the biggest bad guy ever, and that scares me, because Hordak essentially put Etheria under, like, a martial rule for decades, and his whole, everything on Etheria was compared to a minuscule, like, fragment, or, I can't remember exactly what you said, but basically saying, like, the stuff we learned about Hordak, right? It's like, so he is a clone that got his own brain, his own consciousness, and was in Etheria. His main dude that he came from is called Horde Prime, and the dude perceived me in my dream, which then let me know it wasn't a dream, and had a conversation with me, Adora, and apparently the ability to see everything that was happening was coming from Pitch, because apparently Pitch doesn't have anyone to answer to anymore, and now he has, like, his own stuff. I don't know who he was answering to before, because it cut the connection.
Valka, you know who he was answering to before. They're now dead.
Oh, the calamities.
But he, like, let me see what was happening, and here's what was happening, right? So, I haven't seen Katra in months. Last time I saw she was working with Hordak. I see her in a prison cell, and she's broken everything they've given her. Classic.
And this is where I can even give you as a DM.
And
the dream happened.
Cut.
It's like, yeah, because
Adora's just like, and then this bullet point happened, and then this happened.
That's how because I don't want to have to make you guys, like, always be like, wait, was I right?
Mm-hmm.
It's you bullet point, like, very smartly of, like, here's what I know, and then here's the dream. And now, like, from...
And then I got sucked out of the giant ship thing that was making down, but there's no down in space. And that's when Pitch was like, oh, I brought you here. How'd you like the show? And I'm like, why? And he's like, I got plans. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because I don't answer to anyone.
I love your Jude Law there.
Then,
I don't answer to anyone.
And then he punted me back here, and I woke up in a cold sweat.
Did Adora...
So we have, like, 3 days.
Did
But I don't think
Adora
that's 3
give me
days.
enough information to connect any of those names with what Azra was telling me about somebody looking for the Lions of Adam?
Yes. I would give enough of, in old memory, the Lions of Adam. Again, I am now bringing in, fun fact, Dreamworks canon. Voltron is canon. The Lions of Adam, when Adam, like, first dude on the Earth, is the lore being Adam and some of his sons and granddaughters and children made these lions and were called paladins. Operation Paladin is this big thing you think of, so this dude's trying to find... Because you would know this. The Paladin lions are cool because they don't run on... like, they're not celestial tech, they're not tech, they're not Akano tech. They're just, like, beings. It's hard to describe, like, what do you quantify technology when it has become fully sentient, but still reliant on a pilot? Yeah. Is that the word I want to use? It's, well, and if you know the show or the lore of Voltron, yeah, it's like, these lions can do everything on their own, but they are only in part until they have a master, is that the word? No, a
Rider.
A rider, a paladin, right?
Sorry, Voltron.
No, I get it. So, yeah, Valka, you, I think, have enough knowledge to fill that in.
You see, we're good. And so, man, this drink with this stuff is pretty good. They said they had 3 days till they get here, right? But I don't think
correct.
that's, you know...
Either 8 or 9.
Either 8 or 9.
Because they had 3, but you guys, you think it's different.
We think it's different. We think we have a week at worst, 9 days phrase it best before they get here. So, what did everyone else do and dream about? Because that's all I got.
Adora,
Mm-hmm.
does the vestige of Shira that lives inside you have any memories of your predecessors?
Adora has an idea. If she changes into Shira and then makes a history check, is that going to be easier than as Adora?
In fact, you have rightly called that.
I'm smart.
I'm smart. No, I feel that so much as a player where you're like, good, I did something.
Good. I know what the inner machinations of your mind are. DM.
You are transforming into Shira.
Give me a second. Yeah.
As the music plays,
magical girl transformation.
Magic Girl Adora's hair billowing out beautifully, crown appears, sword, boom, into the air as this cool Magic Girl anime sequence appears.
And I would like to say there's like tiny little details, not only for like there's a heart for one of her old friends, you know, like the crown for one of her old friends, like the shape, but then there's stuff from you guys. The wings of the helmet look like Valkyrie wings, you know, like her gloves look a little more Arcano tech.
Kind of like Dax's
like
gloves.
Dax's gloves.
That's fun. I like that.
You know, she was trying to think of something for Gingie.
Gumdrop buttons.
The little it fit just, you know, it looks like spikes, but on it's like, oh, it's like a bold spike. No, it's
a gumdrop spike.
I love that.
Anyway, it is still metal. Like, please don't try to eat them. But like, anyone would go like, so are these spikes like are those gumdrops?
Like they're gumdrops.
Do you have gumdrops on your shoulders? Yeah, no.
Find out.
Yeah, well, yes. Magic Girl transformation sequence, super fun. I've been waiting for this day to play the music. But yes, Adora, go ahead and make me the history check. It's not with advantages, Shira, but it's a much easier DC.
Yep, going to the
let's summon the power of Shira. Again, Adora grows like 3 feet upwards to this like 8-foot warrior woman who now suddenly eyes glowing, celestial bright, like her muscles, like it's kind of fun. Adora's actually already getting really built, but again, like the muscles now grow and fill to like a very natural proportion for her size.
Can I give her advantage by giving her more details on, like, specifically what I'm looking for in her memories?
Ah, I see. I don't think it would be advantage.
Oh.
It's helping lower the DC more.
Because I don't have any pluses.
Minarith will give you a guidance.
Okay, I'll take the guidance because I don't have any pluses to my intelligence.
Gotcha.
Intelligence is the base stat 10.
You got this.
Shira ain't smart. I'm kidding. Well, no, it's again, Shira was never a spirit of intelligence and like high magic like a wizard. She's a paladin, right? Like at the end of the day. So here we go.
That's a nat 20!
Yes! Yes!
And you see it on the screen. It's a nat 20 from the D&D Beyond.
Ah!
I love it. So much lore today. There's so much.
The lore is deliciously strong.
Specifically, I'm making sure we quantify this right. And not that I'm going to like leave stuff out. Valka's trying to see if she giving knowledge to Shira can tap into past memories related to, it sounds like, obviously I would assume like stuff with Enoch, stuff with the Paladins.
I want to know what Mara can remember about Enoch leaving Eternia, and it's like, if I take Shira and Moses to Eternia, can they figure out what pathway he took, or like find us another Eden to get people to type vibes of that, like...
Here's what I'll say. This is going to be fun.
What can she remember from that?
Are you guys ready to all go along into a fun little dream sequence with Shira? And I do mean all of you.
Yes! It's the trope everybody joins in someone's dream!
Well, because the other party did that with Bob, basically.
The other party did it with Bob
So
the Tomato,
going around.
long story short. All of you watch Shira opens her arms and Adora, like, offers to each of you to hold hands. As you all
Although
will
we should
enter...
sit down so we don't get our legs...
oh wait, we should.
So they
should
don't
we sit
cramp up.
before the? Actually, I would say you're all sitting eating Gingie scones. Again,
that's true.
Gingie's been doing that little like fun breakfasty. Like, here's some scones. Anyone in for like some protein, some eggs? Like, it's been a fun like breakfasty morning with Gingie.
Take Swiftwind's hooves before...
Yeah,
I don't take Swiftwind.
As you all boom in, I will say, entering into this vision, Dax, you have Bart on your shoulder. Gingie, you feel like that connection to the Muffin Man, because I actually will say, this is not a dream, this is not a vision. You can interact with the world here, fun fact. So there are some things you'll be able to do. People might not see you, but you might see them and be able to do things here. Swiftwind is here. Valka, Stoic is here as well. All of you enter into a vision. Before you stands a outcropping on the sea. If you know the white cliffs of Dover, that London idea, beautiful cliffside where you hear the roaring waves crashing into the mountainside, the smell of sea air mixing beautifully with nature in this kind of low grassland surrounding you. To give you the idea, you know, like, it's full like Thor Ragnarok where like Odin was sitting when they find him, this kind of cool cliff outcropping. All of you appearing here feel tangible enough, you're interacting with each other, and there are two figures standing before you. Now, I will point out, to give you a bit of the mechanics so everyone's aware, this will last as long as She-Ra's form lasts. So if you enter into initiative, like, and again, as a DM, I will hold that discretion. I'm not going to call this initiative. It's if there's ever a true initiative, you then, Elle will roll a d10, and it's a d10 plus 5 for how many rounds she can hold the form. Mm-hmm. Because either that, or if She-Ra ever drops to 0 hit points, it's like a wild shape almost. When she loses that, we will all be shunted back out into our bodies. Mm-hmm. So this is, you have as much time as that, where if She-Ra isn't exerting herself, you can spend a lot of time here. But if initiative should happen, and I don't know how much more I could stress as a DM of, if it should happen, that's when the timer begins.
Mm-hmm. Hey, maybe we don't.
I mean, you could all start stabbing Adora right now and, like, bring her to 0 hit points if you want to end it sooner. Like, that sounds really dark, but, like, stab, we go home.
But yeah, no, basically, Adora's like, no, if it comes to that,
push me down the cliffside.
Push me down the cliffside.
20d6 worth of damage straight
down. The implication that Adora has no clue what she's doing, and so would need us to stab her. Because she just doesn't know how to get out of it on her own. Like, that's so funny to me.
All of you look. There are two figures before you on the cliffside. You see first a man. He has very dark hair. It's long, kind of pulled back into this very matching this black longer beard. You could like very wizard vibes is what you get. That like imagine Saruman, but like when he was in his 20s, like very like sharp faced, regal, very pensive as he is looking out the sea. The woman next to him, obviously Adora, you immediately clock this, but this is Mara, a very graceful one. She is in sharp contrast to like the almost very burlappy clothes that this like wizard dude seems to be wearing. She is in like very smart battle gear, that like very cool like those like pleated studded leather skirts to like be able to move more quickly in battle with the like Spanx underneath, where like she is ready. She could at any point be comfortable or in the middle of combat. Strapped across her back is the Sword of Protection, the same one that is now currently in a literally identical manner on Adora's back. But she is not in She-Ra form. This is Mara. Brunette hair, kind of pulled back. A similar enough ponytail right now to kind of what Adora does sometimes. But you see Enoch and Mara. As they are here, both of them look. Mara seems to have just arrived as you are now catching this conversation. Again, where the memory begins for She-Ra. Well, everyone's loaded up. We're ready to head out to Eternia pretty much within the hour if you want. We've got food aplenty. And, of course, I've left the ARC schematics, like on your request, behind. I don't know why we wouldn't just take the ARC schematics with us, but so choose. And you see Enoch. Again, the idea of a young Christopher Lee with, like, cool black beard is really what it looks like for me. Turns, kind of smiles. They were never ours to begin with, Mara. That came from my great. And he starts... And when I say great, I mean... Husafai, begat of Masurael, begat of... He lists the biblical...
all the way back to Noah with
back to Noah with the Ark. He says, these schematics were never mine. And you see Mara gives that, like... Fair enough. It's great ship work, though. I mean... Do you think they'll be good on Eternia? I mean, I just really... And you see, she gives that look to Enoch. You and I technically should stay here. And she kind of gives that inadvertent... Where, kind of like Adora, where you kind of like touch the sword without thinking. And Enoch's hands grip, you see by his side, the Staff of the Prophets. The two symbols, which are the first and fifth seals, respectively.
I have so many questions.
Enoch holding the staff. Mara, there's a lot that could be done. But I have talked with the Lord and seen the goodness of the people. Zion must be raised, but not in this land. I love my home here. And you see, you are on the cliffs of the Mediterranean. Very close to what we know as close to the mortal tree that leads to Eden. Enoch kind of gives a wistful sigh. But I'm a voice for God. I need to lead these people to a better place. And this world, well, some may call it cowardice to leave the problems of this world to others. But I say I have faith that those that come after us are stronger than you or I. And you see Mara gives that like kind of scowl almost of just, yeah, but like we could start kicking ass now, but I get it. And you see Mara in that very like, you see this is the rapport of what we could call two party members who have known each other, a cleric and a paladin, or a cleric and a fighter who can become a paladin, who have journeyed for a while together, who are very in sync. You see, though, and this is where I will say, no one spoil this for Lonnie. I want her reaction because I will give her a bit of the scene. You see Enoch turns to Mara. Yes, well, I think we're ready. All we're missing is the arcanic portion of our technology, as you call it. And you see he reaches into a pocket and pulls out what you think to be a sending stone, a very magical object. We're ready. Do you have our signature? You do not hear what comes out the other side. They're not like walkie-talkies. It's a little more mentally linked. But within a few moments, sparking and teleporting to existence, a wild man in blue starred robes, gray long beard. A man appears out of the Ethereum. Woo! Alright! Was having quite a bit of fun. I was wrapping around the moon a couple times. I'm gonna miss this place! You see Enoch goes, Ivor, my friend, I will miss it too. As the man we will come to know as Merlin in time, now known as Ivor here. Ivor steps forward. Right, well, I feel pretty juiced up. I've done some cosmic chronomantic. You know, the faster you go, time actually slows down, so I'm able to cultivate more chronomantic energies while going around. And you see Mara kind of like cuts him off. It's like, we do not really need to talk about that. And you see Merlin goes, right. All right, where's the vessel? You see Enoch just like, we'll take you. We didn't want to discuss its location too much, for fear of someone finding it. And you see he laughs a little bit to himself. All of you feel thunder seems to rumble in the distance as Enoch, Mara, and Ivor. Right now, all level 10 adventurers, a cleric, a wizard, and a fighter, all swiftly turn around. And 3 things happen at once. First of all, I would like the party to make me a group perception check. Because each of you might find different things. 17. You'll love to see it. 17. 16. Yeah, 17, 16. And yeah, call them out as we get them.
My phone died, so I'm going to roll physical.
Oh, yeah, you're good. I feel that. That happens a lot.
7.
All right. Here we go. Yeah, Gingie, whenever you have that perception. 22? Heck yeah! Gingie, being the highest, you will clock immediately, Gingie. something is approaching quickly. It is approaching in a physical manner, so I would almost say you could start to rule out big things. For example, this is not a primordial god that is appearing. Like, that would be terrifying. But something is coming fast over land towards this spot on these cliffs. Gingie, on a 22, you will also be able to quickly realize, out of these 3 young adventurers, right, this wizard Ivor, his eyes, he has immediately started, like, prep casting, like archmages are bound to do, like, mirror image, stone skin, like, true, like, these, like, quick battle ray spells on himself, and one spell he casts, he suddenly blinks and realizes the 5 of you are here, or 6 of you are here. That whatever vision he has just granted himself, this dude goes, "Whoo! Are you goodies or baddies?"
Before I answer, can I ask a quick double check on how much lore we've gotten from the Dragon Warriors about, like, Merlin and Desanya and stuff? Because they, like, vamped over there, right? Have we talked to them about any of that?
No.
Damn it, because I was hoping we would, like, know enough that he survives to be like, remember this later?
None of you guys really know too much. You actually
Everyone
also
knows, like-
don't technically know he died.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
thumbs up,
long story short. Yeah, the Merlin of Dremore lore has both died and come back, and only one party knows about it.
But we did just hear him talking about time magic, right?
You did hear him talking about chronomancy.
We are champions from the future of Dremore. The apocalypse has started, and Eden burned, and we need a new plane of paradise to take people to so they don't all die.
Oh, hell yeah! Today just got actually cool!
I give him all the lore, hoping this time wizard can help
You see,
us in the future get people somewhere.
Ivor the wizard is like, you're from the future, and there's an Armageddon, and Eden's gone, and you see Enoch and Mara are both looking at him like, what's happening? He spends 2 of his other high-level spell slots to grant them the sight to see you guys, and they Mara is like,
I show the sword.
she pulls the sword too.
No, I'm not shooting at her. I just
Dax, you see Enoch looking at you and Valka.
I didn't Enoch. Whatever you do, it works, but no one knows how, and Eden burned in the apocalypse. We need a new place to save people.
Enoch looks at you,
The
he
plan
gets a
didn't
smile.
go as planned.
God works in mysterious ways. As this dude, I can't describe enough, he smiles seeing you all. Actually, I'll cut back to it, because there are still a lot of things. Because Dax, on your 7 Dax, it's a lot of, like, information overload of, like, ooh, we are altering, are we, like, actually in the past, or is this altering the past? We're being seen, so there's magics that connects us physically, like, we are bound to Adora. You're starting to get that, like, more technical side of, like, okay, I'm seeing the mechanics here. Gingie, you're getting this initial, like, the force coming is powerful. You're seeing these things, and Gingie, you're also then noticing the landscape itself is starting to adapt, for lack of a better word, to whatever's coming. Something big in this moment. For Valka, or excuse me, no, She-Ra had a 17, you had 16. She-Ra, you're noticing Mara drawing the sword. The second she draws the sword, you immediately see she gets a weird, like, twist, like, you know, when you have a weird, I would never assume to, like, a cramp, but just like, oh, you're the next one, because why can't I bamf out?
Yeah, I technically have her in this scenario.
That's not fair, give it back!
I can't!
What's going on? No!
Okay, when I'm done, you'll get her back!
What? I don't trust that! Who are you?
I'm the next one!
Indeed, she can't, the sword can kind of exist, but the spirit of She-Ra is technically not here right now, or it's technically here. It's weird. Right? And so, as that's happening, you're noticing this, and finally, Valka, the bit of information I will give you, as this is happening, on a 16, multiple targets. You get a very strong feeling that, something is coming to these 3 adventurers, right? This small little party, that has been, I mean, you know this, they've been tracking them for quite some time. And the only reason they probably haven't found them is the man who invented the amulets himself is standing in front of you, and you actually then immediately clock and see Enoch stands up, this young Christopher Lee, he unlooses his burlap clothes. Underneath, full, like, Stephen Strange, that cool tunic, crisscross reds, with that emblazoned Enochian amulet on his chest, and you, Claude, that, yes, you are all wearing yours, but so is Mara, so is Ivor. These amulets, probably fresh as the day. They may have been made like a couple days ago. Enoch unlooses this burlap simple cloth into a fighter-ready cleric battle sense.
Is that a question we should be asking of how were they found if they have the amulets?
Yes, it is. That's what you're calling. If they have amulets too and we have amulets, Swiftwind isn't technically here. How did they find them? And that's where we're going to end tonight's episode before this combat. Seeing these adventurers, everything getting ready. Thank you so very much for playing. Thank you for crazy dream sequences. And I cannot wait to see you all next time. Bye-bye.